You'll welcome to my tutorial for Sandcastle percent. This category is any percent with jigs, so beat the game as fast as possible with no restrictions at all, basically. The fastest version is Xbox, which is what this tutorial will be for. If you're running on N64, I'll direct you to my any percent tutorial, which is a bit outdated now, but it's more relevant to N64 than this will be, and I'll link that in the description. Let's get started. So there's a glitch at the start, and the way that you want to time this run is from the My Game screen. You click on Banjo-Kazooie and you start the timer at what you see there, minus a minute 27.52 seconds. So those are my splits there. They don't really matter for now. So a controller cam will probably be more helpful. Yeah, so to run on this you want the Xbox version. You can have either 360 with the Xbox Live Arcade or Xbox One. I've heard the Xbox One is a little bit faster, just due to having slightly less lag, but I'm not sure if that's true or just a rumor. I play on 360 because I don't have an Xbox One. If there is a difference, it wouldn't be very much, I would imagine. You also want to play, if you can, on a CRT TV. So basically a really old TV with a fat back to it, because newer TVs have to process the signal, but CRTs don't, which means that CRTs have a bit of input lag. Like if you press the jump button, newer TVs have input lag, CRTs don't really. So if you press the jump button, for example, on a new TV, it'll be a few milliseconds until you jump, but on a CRT it'll be much shorter, like almost instant. To do the first glitch, we're going to hold down right on the camera stick and press start 6 times after it starts fading out. And we'll get into Rusty Bucket Bay. This glitch is Xbox exclusive, which is the whole reason the Xbox is faster. So holding the camera stick causes the demo to desync. So because the camera's changed at the start, it'll still try and play the same button presses as usual, but those button presses will lead to Banjo dying, which means you gain control. And pressing start 6 times selects the Rusty Bucket Bay demo, which is the one we want, because it's convenient to start in Rusty Bucket Bay, and as far as I know, that's the only demo we can actually die in and gain control. So this will be a relatively advanced tutorial. I won't go too much into the basics, but I do want a full, complete picture of how to do this if this is the only tutorial you're watching and you only ever want to run Sandcastle percent. This tutorial can be useful for any percent as well, but I've been running Sandcastle percent a lot lately, so I think I would do better explaining this category. I'll probably do Xbox any percent at some point, but not now because I'm familiar with Sandcastle percent at the moment. So in terms of basic movement, Talon Trot is the fastest form of movement that you can do normally. So if we walk in Talon Trot, it takes Banjo a little while to speed up to full speed. But if you jump, you reach full speed instantly. So if you're moving from a standstill, what you want to do, if you're going a fairly long distance, is get into Talon Trot and jump. Now you'll notice that Banjo does a slide at the end of the Talon Trot, and at the end of that slide, Banjo actually slows down a bit. It's kind of hard to see here, but it does happen. You do slow down if you reach the end of that slide, so the end of all the dust particles. So essentially you just need to keep jumping. And it's best not to spend too much time in that sliding animation, because you might lose some speed. If you're jumping, as long as you keep the same angle that you're holding, unless the camera changes, as long as Banjo is moving in the same direction, you'll stay at full speed while jumping. So yeah, it's good to be jumping as much as you can. There's another little quirk with the slide. You can get like a mid-air jump if you jump out of the end of the slide, but it's pretty much Taz only. Like that. And that's a 1-frame trick. We don't really need to get it anywhere in the run, but it's something to note. If you're moving over a short distance, it's not worth getting into talent trap. So rolling is the fastest form of movement here, but we have a similar thing where at the end of the roll we lose a bunch of speed. So you roll and then you jump out of it, but when you land out of a jump you lose a bunch of speed, so you actually roll and jump and flutter. If you press jump and then flutter the very next frame, which is 1/60th of a second, then you can actually cancel that on the ground. I'm really bad at getting it, but what it kind of looks like is you cancel the flutter and then you can roll straight again after. And there's another thing you can sort of do, like cancel it like that, but that's like not really that fast. Yeah, you need to tap the buttons really fast, and I'm not good at tapping buttons fast. So I think that's all the basic movement. If you want to get out of Talon Trot, you don't just let go of the buttons, you like peck to get out of Talon Trot. And if you're on the ground, if you're in that sliding animation and you peck, then yeah. I guess high jumping, if you roll into a high jump, you get a bit of speed into that high jump. So that's sometimes useful. And you can also use it to extend your roll. You keep the rolling speed through the start of the high jump animation. Okay, I think that's all the basics, and I'll update that if I think of any more. I think stained glass and mittens. Okay, let's see. So we've just desynced the demo, and we start in Rusty Bucket Bay, and that's really good because that means we don't need to go to Spiral Mountain, and we don't need to do the pumpkin thing to raise the water level in the lair. That's because as soon as we exit Rusty Bucket Bay, we can just hit the switch to raise the water level. Yeah, and that skips transforming into the pumpkin. This file starts with all the moves, and it starts with a full stock of eggs, red feathers and gold feathers, and 25 Mumbo tokens for some reason. It has 5 health, and no jiggies, no notes, and no lair progress, essentially. But this is really good, so all we really need is jiggies to open a few levels and the final door, and 810 notes. That's the biggest bottleneck of the run, is the 810 note door, and there's no known way to skip that, even with jigs. Okay, so let's see. So when you start, you want to... one more thing. You might be familiar with Door of Grunty Skip on N64. That, as far as we know, doesn't work on Xbox. I've gotten very close to getting it and gotten a few clips out, but yeah, there's some weird thing. I've tried so much to get it and I haven't been able to. I'm not sure if it is possible, and even if it is possible, it's probably way too inconsistent for runs. Or if we could get Door of Grunty Skip, the category would kind of be bad, because your whole run would be dependent on getting this stupidly hard trick at the end. So you'd probably have a really bad run and then a great Door of Grunty Skip or something. Anyway, yeah, so we'll need 28 jiggies and 810 notes. Anyway, so we start this level, the camera should be a bit more straight than this, and we start jumping to these notes. I like to try and hit the right side of this note and eventually end up on the left side of the last note, just to stay in a bit of a straight line. When you're talon trotting, you do want to jump up slopes, and you want to like jump as soon as you hit the slope, if you can. If you're walking up slopes, your speed is slower, but if you're walking down slopes, then your speed is faster. So on really long slopes, I actually like to end my slide on the slope and then walk down the rest rather than jump down the rest. That's just because if you're jumping, you're only going at like horizontal ground speed for most of it, except for when you're on the ground. But if you're walking, you're going at like slope speed, which is a lot faster. Anyway, so right side of the first note, keep jumping, end up on the left side of the last note, jump into here. You walk about one step and then jump and peck. And you should cancel the peck on here. You shouldn't be in the air too long while pecking. Now what I like to do is get back into Talon Trot here, and then jump up and get these 10 notes, and then jump across. There's a few alternate ways to do this, so if I came back into the room, I could jump, peck, flutter cancel there, and roll. And then usually if you miss a note or something, you come back here and then jump across. Another way to do it is you could jump on this bit and then not lose your Talon Trot, but that's like really hard and it's not much faster. One thing that I'll mention is here. If you jump straight against the wall, you run into this pole. So you want to jump sort of out from the wall. So that's that first room. Now one little thing to mention about coming out of these loading zones in Rusty Bucket Bay is if I hold a direction, I'm going to hold right coming out of the loading zone. See how Banjo does like a really big sort of turning circle, like he comes out here and then turns to the right. As far as I know, there's like a frame when you come out of the loading zone, that's 1/60th of a second, where the camera angle is kind of different, and so holding right will actually hold a different direction. What I like to do, if I wanted to go straight to the right, is I would wait until I think that one frame has passed, and then hold right. So see how there was like no turning circle there? Whereas if I just hold right, you'll be able to see a turning circle. Yeah. So what we want to do is we'll come out and essentially jump on top of here. So don't hold right, jump, oop, jump, jump. We need all 4 of these notes now, so I like to do a little jump. And then if you don't touch the camera here, you can just hold left and hopefully get all these notes. If you want, you can take a little bit of time to get the camera behind you coming up here. You can either do that by moving the camera stick, or if you press R, the camera will always go behind you. And keeping in mind pressing R or L is a really useful way to do that. Okay, so yeah, jumping to this, jump, jump, jump. I press R here to get the camera lined up. Cancel here. Try not to cancel it too far because you don't want to hit this window with your peck because it'll bounce you back. You just want to turn around and poop an egg, and that doesn't have any knockback, so it's a bit quicker. And we're going to flutter in here. We don't want to get in Talon Trot now. When I get in this room, I like to roll and then do a jump to the door and then gold feather everything. So you should kill pretty much everything before you grab the jiggy, just so nothing gets you. So what I did was I rolled and jumped to the door and then got into gold feathers. Now if this guy over here hasn't spotted me, then I don't bother killing him because it's a little bit slower to kill him. But usually he does spot you, so you should get door, the guy, the chomper, the jiggy. There's another method to get the jiggy. With this bed, if you can kind of jump and get Banjo, so like you can see Banjo will go on an angle on the corner of this bed. If you can jump at the jiggy on an angle, then you can get it without breaking the door or anything, and that would be faster. But it's like stupidly hard. Another way is you could like jump up and try and cancel the jiggy animation. If you get hit and grab the jiggy on the same frame, you'd cancel the animation. But I've never been able to get that. It is in the Taz though. So yeah, I just like the gold for the method. Anyway, so you want to get into Talon Trot after grabbing this jiggy, and then grab the notes. Again, you'll notice that I didn't hold right as soon as I entered the loading zone. I sort of came out, and then as soon as I saw that it had started fading in, then I pressed right. You want to do 3 jumps, turn the camera around, and then jump into this kitchen. Hold down, grab this note, jump and grab this note. You jump across these 2 tables because you don't want the enemies to hit you, and then you jump across here. Yeah. So that room would look like this. Grab that. Table, table, note, 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 jump. Now, you don't want to jump from here because you won't be able to make it out. You definitely want to be raised up onto this little ledge here. You can either get that by just walking up onto it, or you can actually land the jump from the oven door onto it as well. But make sure that you're on that little raised bit before you try and jump out. Again, I don't hold right straight away because I want to avoid that first frame thing with the big turning circle. So I wait a little bit and then press right. You do 4 little jumps, 1 more here, poop and egg, talon trot maybe. You want to get this note on the end and hope that this guy spots you, because if he does, then as soon as you get this last note, it's going to be really clear to get to the window. That's all you need here, those 4 notes. Now this jump here, you want to jump up onto this little thing holding the lifeboat. If you jump horizontally onto it, so like that, then you have no chance of falling off the ship. So I would recommend that you get next to it and then jump up horizontally. But if you jump, I don't want to say vertically, but yeah, if you jump out towards the water, then if you miss this, you'll fall off the ship. Anyway, so however you're comfortable, jump up to here in talon trot, jump up off here in talon trot, and cancel it here. Do a high jump and flutter. Do a high jump and get into talon trot here. Grab the note, jump off. Grab this note, cancel it, high jump. So that was talon trot, heck onto there, and high jump. Another thing that you can do here is like a whistle jump sort of thing. It's like really inconsistent, so I don't go for it. But I mean, the option's there. You can do the whistle jump instead of the high jump. Anyway, get 2 notes. After the second note, I like to jump and get the other 2 to avoid hitting the end of that slide, which slows you down. Flutter cancel onto the ground from there in talon trot, and get a leaves 4. As soon as you get the 4th one, jump back with a small jump, and then with that, poop and egg come in. Hold down and left when you get into here. 1 jump, 2 jumps, left and out the window. Again, don't press left straight away, wait until it starts to fade in to avoid that turning circle. Peck the door and roll in. Now, engine room is on a cycle, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to fall down and try and flutter through the door, if I can. So just walk off. So I got the flutter through the door. If you leave it too late, you'll take full damage and waste a whole bunch of time, so it's really bad. Wait for this to turn around, get on the end of the cog, jump across. Thanks to Mittens for that awesome strat. I wasn't supposed to cancel talon trot there. Okay, so after you've got this note, there's 2 things that you can do. You can either jump back across here, and then try and jump through this fan. This strategy is optimally the fastest because you don't have to touch the camera at all to get through this fan, because you want the camera behind you to get through the fans. And if you get through this fan, you don't need any extra setup. And this fan is a little bit more lenient as well. The other fan that we could potentially go through is it double taps you a lot more often. The other strat is closer to what 100% does, and that would be to just jump across here and then line up the camera a bit and run straight into these fans. You can do the rolling strat through the fans, but since it's so early in the run, I think it's worth talon trotting. It's worth talon trotting through. So run straight into it. There we go. Now I got the double tap, which is slower, and we'll see why later. Well, it is a little bit slower for now, but it loses even more time later because of health. You wanna be as straight on as you can, because if you get the double tap and you're straight on, then it'll knock you back onto the pipe. If you get the double tap and you're on a bad angle, then it knocks you off and you die. Anyway, so grab that note, and jump across and cancel talon trot with the peck. If you're coming from this fan, you just want to grab that note, and do the same thing, and you would like set up the camera as you're grabbing the jiggy so that we're facing this way. Okay, grab grab that note, grab that note. I like to do a little circle here, so Banjo's in the walking animation and he's not like reaching the end of the slide as he hits the fan or anything. This fan is a lot nicer. It doesn't usually double tap here. We'll grab this extra life. Now some people say that it helps with window clip, but that's not the reason. The reason that we actually grab it is because we need lots of extra lives in this run. So with window clip, I like to do it on foot, but you can do it in Cauldron. Now we want to clip through this seam here. Let's see. Now, if I'm moving right to left, I won't get the clip, but if I'm moving left to right, I will get the clip. So what you really want to be focusing on is moving left to right along the seam. And you want to do it, so you want to get into a situation where Banjo is like really close to the seam, and then you want to move really slowly to the right. Like you basically want to hold up with a tiny bit of right, and that usually gets you through the wall. That was really slow what I did there, but essentially you just go back and keep trying it until you get it. Sometimes if you press R on the camera, it like different camera angles can help a bit, so yeah. I wonder if I can get back in shade. I'm not sure if I can actually get it the other way. I've heard that you can do this, but I've never done it before. Oh well. Anyway, the window clip that I got there was like pretty slow, but you should be able to get it like usually in less than 3 seconds. Okay, so I like to come up here, jump across here to grab these 2 notes, diagonal jump, and then jump there. Those 4 notes are like really hard to get. So what I do there is I get into talent trot and then I hold, so I press down on the stick to zoom the camera out and I like move the camera to the left, I guess. I thought it was right, but okay, to the left. So that I'm pointing at that note and my camera zoomed out. That's what I want. Now we're going to skip those 4 notes over there with the beehive. Those 4 notes take about 20 seconds to get, and if you want to get them, then you would get the ship left to right there, and then jump across to those 4 notes, and then swim over to the crane. And that takes about 20 seconds. If you decide to reroute this at all, then if you need 4 extra notes, those are the ones that you grab. They take about 20 seconds. Okay, so we're not going to grab them there. So I like to grab this, turn my camera around as I grab this note, jump there, jump there. I don't jump between these 2 notes because if you jump, you most likely grab the flagpole. Technically it's faster to jump, but most people will like take a lot of time kind of jumping around the flagpole and it probably ends up slower for them anyway. So I just walk. Walk there, walk there. And once you're already sort of at full speed walking, it's not too bad to keep walking. But if you can, you should jump. So I like to jump here. And yeah, another thing, like if I was already walking at full speed and I wanted to change angles, then you definitely want to jump when you change angles. Okay, so we get this last note. And then jump across here. Now basically I like to land on this little plank here. This wool here isn't solid. This thing here is just a big solid wool. So you can use that to sort of essentially give the plank infinite width, theoretically. Anyway, yeah. So try and land as right as you can and then just jump off. Get the camera perpendicular to this wall. And then get right up here, and then you want to jump flutter, roll, and then jump up. So jump flutter, roll, jump up. I'll talk about slope timers a bit here. If I'm on the slope, a slippery slope, Banjo slides off after a while. It's about 1 second. But you can kind of manipulate that by putting your shadow over flat ground. So every time I go over the water, that's considered a flat ground. And every time you're over flat ground, it resets the slope timer. And every time your shadow's over a slope, it ticks up the slope timer. So this isn't really doing the flat ground slope abuse, but it is kind of keeping the slope timer in mind. So as soon as I do that first jump, my slow time is ticking up. So you got to be really quick. Jump ladder, roll. And you can take as long as you want with that roll. Of course, if you take less time, it's faster. And then I cancel. And then I walk a little bit and then roll. So with this shock spring pad here, you roll into it and jump off. And I hold the left trigger there when I'm in this animation. Because otherwise, if I jump up and I'm here, then I have to press left and right, or if you like, right and left, to talon trot. This is the same as like holding Z in Advanced 164. But if I'm holding the left trigger already, all I have to do is just tap the right when I get on there. And that avoids the possibility of you doing this, like coming in ground pounding, when you like thought you already landed, so you went to duck to talon trot, but really you ground pound. So yeah, you jump across, hold the left trigger, try and get the flutter cancel here, and talon trot. Now, I haven't figured out a good way to jump between these notes, because essentially, ideally, you would jump to get all these notes, and you would be always jumping, and then you would want to get as far as you can here. But I haven't figured out a sequence of jumps where that's possible. So instead, what I do is when I land, I just walk through the 3 notes, and then jump off. Same thing there. We go into here. 1 jump, and then the back 2 notes, and then the front 2 notes, another jump and jump out. Ah, I messed that up a bit. I didn't really mess it up, but what I like to do when I come out of this room is I just don't touch the camera at all. So a little bit of walk, 3 jumps, and then your slide should take you all the way into that door without touching the camera. I'm going to get health here so that I don't die in the tutorial, but usually I wouldn't grab any health here. You can to be safe. The grill chompers up there take 2 damage per hit if they hit you kind of with their teeth as they're coming out. So if, like, there's no difference between 1 and 2 health here. They're both just as risky as each other, but 3 health is safer. What I like to do is I like to jump and try and land on the note roughly. And then you can do another jump here and it's faster, but I like to just walk this section. So walk, walk, walk. You can like keep jumping there, but it's a bit more risky. So here, so there's 3 ways that I can approach this. I can get to the edge and do a big jump. Do that. Or let's see. Or I can get to the edge, do a little jump off in talon trot, so I'm a bit closer. Or, and this last one is the fastest strat. Sorry. Or you can sort of jump up here in talon trot, jump off, and then try and slope a beast up there. So it would be like, yeah. Imagine I'm in talon trot, so I would be like jumping off and then jumping up there. I'm really bad at that, so I don't go for it, but it is faster. I haven't figured out a consistent way to do it, but all the concepts are there that you need. Okay, so we jump around here. Stay close to this so the box doesn't activate. Hold L in advance and do that. Now, let me think about this. Technically, we should jump and get these 2, and then jump and get that one, and then jump off. I like to, so let's see. So your camera's going to be pretty much like this, and imagine it's a little bit like this. And I went to press R when I come off. Oh wow, I did actually do it how I wanted. Anyway, because your angle's like pretty much Banjo's facing into the camera, pressing R could make it go around like that, or it could make it go, let's see, around like that. It's like right on the edge of whether to go clockwise or anti-clockwise. So you want to flick it a little bit to the left so that it definitely knows to go this way. And as I'm jumping off, so I flutter, grab these 2 notes, jump off, press R a few times. I don't hold R because I don't want it to like, I just want it to get roughly forward. You can probably hold R for a little bit if you want. But I press it a few times, jump across here, oh, I was supposed to land that jump across, and then jump across here. Now with this, if you get right to the edge, you can sort of do a big jump across, but that gets you like really far on the platform. So I like to jump basically anywhere after this little seam here. You'll be able to see this seam running up and down here. I like to jump anywhere past that, and it lands me on there. Press R again, zoom the camera out, and I like to walk down here to get that extra slope speed and to kind of give myself a bit of time to line this up. So you should technically jump in between all these notes, and I like to not touch the camera there, I just jump to the right. I don't get the camera behind me. You have 2 options with this window. So you talon trot and then you peck it. Sometimes the peck hits the window, sometimes the peck doesn't. If the peck doesn't hit the window, then you should activate gold feathers and you'll pull right through. And that's actually a little bit faster. If the peck does hit the window, then you just try and pull in the window. But what I like to do is I do the peck and then I do the inputs as if I was going to do gold feathers, just in case my peck doesn't break the window. And I kind of try and make it not break the window as well. So like that. You flutter down left and you roll into the jiggy. There's an extra life up there if you need it, but that one's actually kind of slow. I like to get to about here on the plank and then do a full jump across. If I get right to the end and do a full jump, you like way overshoot it and then you need a maneuver and you actually have more chance of falling off. But this way is like both quicker and of course I mess it up when I can't say it. It's quicker and more consistent. Alright, so let's see. You get the jiggy, jump off, get there, and cancel. Now I like to high jump up, grab this note and kind of move across to that note, and then grab the, so I'll just do this. Grab that note, kind of move across here, and then from here I roll straight down and death warp. If you have 3 health at this section, what you want to do is you want to jump across, get into talon trot, jump up. Oh, wow, I need to go back and grab that note. What you can do if you have 3 health is basically use the girl chomper to get up there instead of using a high jump, and that's faster. But if you have 2 health, you just have the high jump up there. Anyway, so we would death warp on that, but I've already death warped and the life count is pretty critical, so I'm going to leave it there. There's another strat that you can sort of do, and it's really hard, but it would technically be a little bit faster, is you can actually get out of bounds here. Yeah, it's really hard, but if you can get around that door, sort of, then you can actually get out of bounds. And if you hit the edge of the level boundary, then it does something called voiding you out, which is kind of like a death, but it doesn't take a life. And on N64, if you void out, it like doesn't reset your note count. Anyway, so we would have just died and we'd come back here. And then we exit the level. So when you get on the pad after you die, you want to get into talon trot, run off, and then back on. That's the fastest way. Because that way you're in talon trot after you exit the level. Now in Sandcastle percent, sorry, I will just summarize that. So we've got 3 jiggies. I think that's right. Yeah, it should be right. We got 3 jiggies, so in RBB. We have 92 notes, 3 jiggies, and my gold split currently is a 452.4 rate. So I mean that's sort of the time you want to aim for. I think that 452 gold can come down, but I mean if you're getting like under 5 minutes, then it's pretty good, I think. Okay, without further ado, let's keep going. So I press R once there, and I pick. So I want to high jump. Ideally, what you would do is you would high jump here to get up onto that. Because the you're starting from lower, I mean, you technically do land a little bit earlier because this silver crate is closer to the peak of your jump, so you have to fall less time from the peak. Otherwise, you can just get on this and high jump up. It's not much different at all. And then another high jump up here, and then you want to get into Talon Shot, and then you do a jump, like basically a full jump to trigger the Cauldron, and go a little bit to the left. And then you just jump straight down, once you pass here, one more jump, and then jump across, press R, and you should get this in about 3 laps. Now you'll notice we didn't raise the water level, but we did trigger the blue cauldron, so we can come back here and yeah, we can come back here and sort of raise the water level when we come back to the blue cauldron. So I wanted to get a talon shot into that loading zone. If you get a talon shot as you're touching the loading zone, then it does the get into talon shot animation as it's taken to the next room, which saves a bunch of time. Anyway, so we would ideally be in talon shot here. I like to do 2 jumps and then use this downward slope to keep it at high speed. Do another jump. I don't like to touch my camera too much there because you should try and be getting consistent camera setups rather than trying to always have the camera behind you. So I like to stress that a big thing of improving is not relying on the camera being behind you. Now we're going to do a trick called FP early. And the good thing about Sandcastle percent is it's really early in the run. So I'm going to pound this switch, and we're going to see what happens. Mitten's Hug has a really good tutorial on FPL, which I'll probably put in the description. So I would recommend that for learning this trick. It's a little bit different on Xbox than what he was doing it on, which is NPSC N64. But they're pretty similar as well. And I'll tell you basically what I do, but I won't spend too much time on it. Alright, so get into talon shot here, run forward into the shoes, press R. I kind of hold it a little bit. Alright, now I pull back so that I'm a little bit lower. This is just to save a bit of time. Do your pull back in one go rather than gradually. Alright. Aim a little bit to the right, and you want to pull back so that the camera's a little bit above you. 4 A presses, and then a big bomb, and then another 3, and then a big bomb to get into the loading zone. You don't have to do that last big bomb into the loading zone, but I would highly recommend it, because you might as well start doing that. And once you get used to it, it's not too bad. So FPL is really, really hard. So don't worry too much if you miss it. But you'll eventually get used to sort of how it works, and I still miss it all the time. Anyway, so we're going to go to talon shot here, do 2 jumps to get this note. Now, if I just run straight down this slope, Banjo, not on Xbox apparently, but Banjo sometimes gets a little bit airborne and goes above the nose. So what you can kind of do to avoid that is wiggle left and right, and that generally stops it. The first slope is okay, but the second slope is much worse. So we'll jump above buggy, and then we'll go forward here. Now if I just hold forward, Banjo's going to skip over that note. So what I want to do here is I want to sort of... wiggling left and right doesn't quite cut it either, but I want to hold forward and then kind of let go a bit before I get to that note. The other thing that you can do is you can sort of, when he skips, just pull back a bit. That's probably a better idea actually, but otherwise you would hold forward and kind of like let go a bit and then hold forward again for this last one. You want to go here. I like to use the camera stick rather than the R button here. Jump on this raised bit and try and jump off the most raised bit here. 1, 2, 3, 4, jump. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, jump. Get into talent track here and then we do 11 jumps. And then do a little jump off and you should land in the hole. You have to be pretty precise with your positioning so that you don't accidentally hit the edge of the hole or hit the tree trunk, because both of those are really bad. But you have a long time to line it up and try and not hit any termites either. I like to do a full jump off here, roughly up left, and you'll get a feel for this. You'll eventually be able to grab the note blind like that, and then I jump and press R, jump and press R, jump and press R, jump and press R, do a few jumps. This snowman here can hit you, so you want to be sure to basically keep moving. Get these 4 notes, and then I would jump down to this fly pad, but I want to talk about this jiggy. So what you want to do with this jiggy is, it's really cool to get it with the beak bomb straight up from the fly pad. It's really hard as well, so you want to get the pipe jiggy essentially straight from this fly pad. So I do 6 flaps and then big bomb, and then the only thing that it comes down to is my flap timing and my big bomb timing and the horizontal position. Keep in mind that when you're using flaps, it kind of depends on your spacing between the flaps, how much height you get. This is really evident with the B as well. I'll go into much more detail about this with the B. But essentially, we want to do 6 flaps and big bomb. One thing that I'll also mention is if you're flying or swimming, you should be holding R. And if you're the B. It makes everything much nicer. And with flying and swimming, it makes your turning circle better. Okay, so 6 flaps, and hopefully we get the pipe jiggy. That was really close, but the big bomb was a bit low. Ideally, what happens is you hit the pipe with your nose after the big bomb, and then you grab the jiggy. If you don't get it, what you should do is you'll be a little bit above the pipe, and you should pull back or forward would be faster. Oh, I missed it there. When you grab the jiggy, you want to fly out and use 7 feathers. So that method that I just did there was slower, but it's what you have to do most of the time. I probably only got the pipe jiggy with the big bomb maybe like 20 or 30 times. Anyway, like over all of my running this game. Do a little jump off here, pull back, zoom your camera out as you're falling, get into talent shot on the snow. That strat is pretty intimidating, so if you want you can try and land on the hat so that you're not falling as fast. It's just really bad if you miss it, but I haven't missed it, and I missed it once the other day, but apart from that, not a while. We jump. Now the reason we zoom the camera out is so that it doesn't get caught on any of this stuff, like his pipe and stuff. You want to jump across here, get this note, and about now is when I would be pressing R, and it works out a lot nicer if you're moving while you do it. Anyway, so the camera ends up behind you, and then you want to jump over and get this note. And I like to kind of jump between these notes because we don't really need feathers that much. If you want more feathers, then you can, like, this is where you would get more feathers. Now notice was it isn't actually there. That's a side effect of the demo desync glitch. The demo file is the same file that's used for stop and swap. So Wazza would get in the way if it was there, like by use for stop and swap. I mean the cutscenes at the end of 100% where Mumbo shows you. So that's why Wazza isn't here, and that's also why you can't use the demo desync file to get 100%. You can only get 99 jiggies. Anyway, Jump across there. Jump on that slope. I've never like slipped off that slope with slope timer. I don't think it's even slippery actually. I'll just check that out. Yeah, it's not even slippery, so don't worry about that. Right. I like to overshoot the note a little bit because the snowball can sometimes get me. So I overshoot it a bit, come around here, jump across, zoom the camera all the way in, and then we come around here. We don't need any Mumbo tokens, so we can just get the 5 notes and move on. Another 5 notes. I do go through this Mumbo token, but that's just because of how the foot works out. This note works out really nicely for jumping across the water. Zoom the camera out to middle here. Middle is good. You jump up to this note. This is where you get health if you're not on full health like I am. If you have any less than full health, you need health here. Absolutely crucial. I like to walk down this a bit, jump when it goes to a positive slope, and then here, cancel, jump in the water. You jump to this one, you jump to this one, you jump out of the water. Oh, I messed that up really badly. Oh. Oh wow, that's really bad. Hold on. I don't usually grab health there, that's why. So about this health, you can sort of just bear punch shortly before the snowball gets there. Okay. So imagine I've just jumped out of this water. The reason you do that sort of is to avoid the snowball. So I would roll and jump here. Jump across to this one, jump across to this one, jump out, and that is when you know that you got this trick. So you should be left with 2 health. I will stress that it's really hard to be left with 2 health. Like normally you're left with 1 health. And if you are left with 1 health, then you bear punch the snowball like you saw me do. Anyway, we've just jumped out of the water. Got into Talon Trot, get these 3 notes. Jump, try and peck just before you hit the water like that. You definitely want to have pecked though. Like it's better to go a little bit too earlier than a little bit too late. Because if you enter the water in Talon Trot, then it takes ages. But yeah, you want to peck just before you hit the water as best as you can. Go through here. You can either walk or jump this first bit. Walking is a bit more consistent. Let go and sort of line up your jump to get on here. Line up. I like to walk through these 3, do a big jump, and then 2 little jumps. Peck into this corner. Now we have another awesome mittens hug set up here, where you just face forward and press B to do a short beak barge. You just press it, you don't hold it. What we want to achieve here is death warping in the fire, but in a very specific way, so that we get knocked into Mumbo's text trigger, and that will clear off one of his tech sequences for when we transform into the bee. And because this is Xbox and we can't skip text, it saves a lot of time. So this is really crucial. You can try and do this by feel, and it would be a little bit faster, but I would really recommend this beak barge setup. I use it still. And it's like really consistent. I'm really hoping I don't miss it now that I've said that. But yeah, so get into this corner, face out, do a beak barge, and you should learn the text trigger. Like that. And then you hold A. I'm not sure if it makes a difference, but yeah. Talon Trot, then do that. Alright. So we'll just check the totals here to update. So FP gets 1 jiggy and 100 notes. And my gold is, let's see, 320.51. Now, if I remember correctly, that gold gets the pipe jiggy beak bomb, but it doesn't get the water note thing. So I think that has some room as well. But you know, that's roughly what you want to shoot for. Anything under like 330 is pretty good. Okay. Again, like these times you wouldn't expect to be getting like times like those 2 that I've listed there for RVB and FP right away. I mean, I've been doing that same FP route for like over 2 years now, so That's how to get it that way. And I've still got a long way to go myself. Alright, so you want to jump down here, try and get a jump off there if you can, and then you don't have any chance of hitting the grub one. You want to peck into that loading zone, and that's because this note door does this. With note doors and jiggies, you don't want to grab or trigger them in Talon Drop, because if you do it in Talon Drop, you get a little like fluttery animation from Kazooie, and it wastes time. It's less than a second, but it's like close to a second. Alright, so after this note door is triggered, you just do 2 little jumps, and you try and jump in this part at the edge here though, so you're still in Talon Truck. You don't want to hit the water and lose Talon Truck here. Jump out here, grab the Cauldron, jump back. That's all we need in this room. You're gonna flutter out here, get into Talon Truck, and jump through this door. This room I don't really like to touch the camera in. Also, we could open TTC now, but Grunty's text would be in the way, so we're going to do that later. So I like to jump down here, and if you're roughly on the edge of that little raised platform there with Grunty's eyes, then you know you're sort of on the right track with your movement angle. Moving the camera would just cost time. Again, when I went through that loading zone, I pecked so that I didn't get that little flutter before the no door cutscene. You get into Talon Trot, do 2 jumps, and then you run down this slope. Start jumping when you get onto flat ground. Again, I don't like to touch my camera too much. I like to press R there, jump on the middle-ish. Grunty usually wouldn't be talking there. So you'd get Bottle's text straight away. You hold A. And then I like to mash A. Alright, Mumbo's Mountain, pretty short level. We're going to start off by grabbing the Jinjo. So you're jumping and you will be doing slides in between your jumps. Try and get those slides on these downhill bits if you can. So you can just Talon Shot jump up to that Jinjo. I like to jump across, zoom the camera out. Get those 3. Get those 3. You want to jump in between these next, so it's a little bit faster than walking. We don't need any eggs, so we'll leave those. Now if you're looking at rerouting this, it seems like this Hut's jiggy would be really slow. Also, you don't want to trigger Mumbo's text here. Seems like this Hut's jiggy would be really slow, but one of the reasons we do it is because you get an extra life from it as well. If it wasn't for that extra life, it would actually be quicker to grab 2 other jiggies, because Huts and Jinjos sort of come as a pair. Land on here and roll back. You should kill the enemy and grab the extra life. That's really important, because otherwise that enemy can screw you over. One thing that I'll mention is if you do manage to grab this jiggy and get hit by one of those purple enemies on the same frame, you will skip the 4.5 second dance, but that's like really hard to do. Alright. You can jump from this platform right to the slope here. And I like to have my camera zoomed out by this point. Follow myself around, stop about here, grab the Jinjo. Press R to get it behind you here. Get these. Come up and grab the Jinjo. I forgot to talk about quick dives. I'll just do this first. Create 6 jingles, and then jump to the water. It's a little bit after 6. You don't want to go too early, that's the main thing. It's really easy to go too early. So when you grab the jiggy, you want to go do 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 do. It's like 6 jingles. When you get into the water with the jiggy, you do a flutter cancel into the water. You can sort of make a judgment. If you see that the water's moving down, then you can just do a normal jump. Actually, I wonder if that works. Anyway, you can just do a normal jump if you see the water's moving down. Or if it's moving up, you can usually learn the flutter cancel. Anyway, jump back on. Oh. Jump back on. Talon trot, I like to get this one. Follow the way up, and then jump, and you can avoid reaching the end of the slide there. We would go to the end of the level, but I'll just talk about quick dives. So, with a quick dive, basically what happens is you're exiting Talon Trot, and that animation, while that animation is going on, it doesn't tell you you're in the water and you should be buoyant yet. So you want to reach the end of the slide, and at the end of the slide, if you're not holding the Talon Trot button, then you exit Talon Trot. Like if I reach the end of the slide, he'll come out of Talon Trot. You want that to coincide with you hitting the water. So if you like see it didn't work there because I hadn't reached the end of the slide, but if you have a little bit of a slide on there, you need to make sure that you don't hold, like if you're still holding the button, it doesn't work. Anyway, so you want to reach the end of the slide, not hold anything. You can still hold the joystick, but just don't hold the any of the triggers for Talon Trot. You can also do it with the Talon Trot entry animation as well, but that's not really used. That was the exit animation there actually. Though. See how I dove a bit there with the entry animation? It's a similar, yeah, see how I got a bit of dive there with the entry? Similar concept, but that's not really used. Anyway, we're done in Mumbos. So the 6 notes that we didn't get from Mumbos were in Ticker's Tower as well. And let's see. 232.45 is my goal. Mumbos is probably my weakest level compared to other runners, so I don't know what like Steve would get for that. Probably a bit lower. Okay, let's move on. So when you come out of here, you want to be careful of this termite. I like to do 2 short jumps and then jump over him. There's a bit of RNG as to where that termite is. So, you press R to get the camera behind you back here, and then you want to do the shortest jumps that you possibly can. So literally just tap the button and release it as quickly as possible. And you'll, like, there's no jump that you can do that's too low to get up here. You would jump and peck into the jiggy, like peck to cancel the Talon Trot, but I'll just show you what happens if you get a jiggy in Talon Trot. You'll see Kazooie do a little flutter. Like that, that's slower. So yeah, you don't want to grab jiggies in Talon Trot. With this podium here, and the Mumbos one actually, you want to kind of be able to jump in the middle of the podium. If you jump like right out from the edge, then Banjo has to walk into the middle. But if you jump right in the middle, it's a lot faster. So every jiggy podium you want to be jumping. See how he still did a little bit of walking there? Now normally you wouldn't get this bubbles text here because Grunty would be talking at this point. Like to jump up to like the highest bit of this that you can reach, basically. and then just jump straight up. If you think about it, if you're going into the left or the middle of the door, that's technically suboptimal because you should be there's no reason to go left or there's no reason to go left here. So optimally you want to be in the right side of the door, but don't stress too much over that. What you really should be doing is making sure you don't fall off and that you're moving well. Anyway, 3 little jumps here, and then 1 big jump. Then you basically hold down and then get in that. Hold up and a little bit right, get here, 1 little jump, and then jump across. It's quicker than high jumping into the chest there. Talon shot, and you jump between. Oop, that was really bad. Talon shot and jump between all these notes. You don't want your camera to be zoomed out here as well because it can get caught when you go through that little tunnel. Peck and roll off, 2 eggs into leaky. Now basically when you're about here, you can jump and hold straight down and you should land, you move a little bit to the right and you should land on this note. You don't want to land on this pillar, you want to land on this note. So you get this note and then you get that one and then you walk back and get that one. Go here and then jump in. This is where we enter our first and only cheat of the run. Try and get a flutter cancel here, but I'm bad with it. This one's good as you can enter the wood. I like to get the notes between the H and the I because you're pretty much near the notes of both of those letters. Oh, try not to high jump into the ground pound. Alright. So this is the main difference between any percent and Sandcastle percent. In any percent, you get 15 more jiggies and you open clip-clop wood the intended way. In Sandcastle percent, skip all that. It skips a lot of layer movement and a lot of jiggies, hence entering this cheat saves a few minutes. This is the only cheat that saves time if you enter it, because entering cheats takes so long. Be pretty careful entering this as well. It's easy to mess it up. You'll get a moo if you've entered it correctly, like that. I like to beat about 2 minutes 2 seconds on the individual split timer at exiting that sandcastle. I used to have a split there. Don't zoom your camera out before you get here because it can get caught on stuff. Grab the back 2 notes, and then the front one that avoids reaching the end of that talon trot slide. These trees are a massive pain. If you really get stuck on them, then get out of talon trot. But it's good to kind of practice doing them in talon trot. Holding R to swim. And you can just hold X on Xbox to do Kazooie's big swim laps. You don't have to mash the swim button, you just hold it. Cancel talon trot on the edge here, fall in. Talon trot off the edge, that's annoying. So there you go. You want to talon trot off the... come on. I'm really bad at this. You want to talon trot. Oh, sorry, I did any percent there for a second. So you're in talon trot when you fall in. And you want to be holding the button still, because if you're not holding the button, then when you fall in, Banjo will exit talon trot. But you'll land, and then when you land, you can let go of the button. With these quick dives, if you're in, see how long it, if I jump and let go of the button, you can see how long after I land it takes Kazooie to exit that animation. That's because it's sort of the sliding animation. So when you get in here, you just hold it for a little bit and then you can let go completely. Gonna dive, get these notes. Now I like this cool strat where you talent shot here and then just jump up. I missed it there on purpose. But if not, then you can see, like when you ground pound, you get a bit of height. So if not, you can just jump up sort of into this hole and ground pound. But I like to talent shot out because then you're in talent shot here. You cancel and then take off in flight. Now, what we want to do is grab these 3 notes. We want to grab them quickly. So this setup kind of depends on how far back and forward you are on the flight pad. But it's 5 and a bit flaps before you just hold straight forward to move your nose down. So I like to go from the front. And then you want to aim basically for where the eggs are, a tiny bit left of where the eggs are, because you won't really be able to see the node. I miscounted there, I think. No, I didn't. That's good. Anyhow, so I went a little bit early there. I'll try that again, actually. So aim for a little bit where the eggs are. 5 and a bit of flaps, and that would have been perfect. Mash a bunch of times and big bomb up here. We want to grab the Lighthouse jiggy like that, in flight. So what you don't want to do is land. If you do happen to fly over the jiggy, don't bother trying to save it, just ground pound and get that jiggy. It's 4.5 second cutscene. It's better than like flying all the way around the place and probably eventually like landing anyway, trying to get it. I'm really bad at the Lighthouse jiggy, so I can't really give a great setup for it. But I like to sort of big bomb not too close to the lighthouse, so I have a bit of room to set up. I like to fall off here, get into talent shot. We run around and make sure the last note's on the shock spring pad. You can move your camera around like this. When we get here, we want to jump off and get some full damage on purpose. So ideally what you do is you jump off and you land on the platform with the 3 notes. You land with a bit of velocity in the direction of moving up that platform, and then you flutter back onto the platform. So, like that. And ideally you land near this note, but I haven't been able to figure out the exact angle yet. Anyway, we run down, get the rest of this, get these 2 eggs, go forward to this point, roll off, and just hold the direction you want to go, and then roll into that jiggy. I should have flooded. Ideally, when I get off here, I should like flutter straight away, and then like just do the last little bit of roll into the jiggy. But that's right. We should be on 3 health now. This works out really nicely for a lot of reasons. And yeah, it's those 2 full damage that put us on 3 health. If you're already low on health when you get to the lighthouse, then you probably shouldn't take that full damage near the 3 notes on the lighthouse. Anyway, 2 strats for this part. Some people like to run forward and then jump straight off here and then do a really big peck to land on that jingo. I don't get into that strat. I do a different strat where I jump to the left here, oop, and then land there. Oop, I really messed it up. If you do happen to fall off here, this is a really quick way to get back up. Another way to get back up is you can just use this tree. Yeah. Which you can get back to the ginger. Anyway, the reason that I sort of mess up that strat is because I changed the camera since I got the jiggy, but usually from the jiggy camera it's pretty consistent. So I like to do a jump, land on this one, and then jump across. Hopefully cancel, press R, and then talent shot. I'll kill this guy. So, the reason that I like that strat rather than jumping off the top there is because when you jump off the top there, first of all, it's like really hard. Like, you often just die. But if you jump down there, it's not that much of a detour. It's like pretty much on your way. And also, if you jump from the top here, then you have to do a really big peck in the air to kind of land on here. But if I jump down there, I basically have talon trot speed for all of it. And I don't spend much time pecking. Pecking is a lot slower than moving in Talon Trap. Anywho, so we're coming around and grabbing these notes. Your last one will be here, and then you want to jump onto the tree. Jump off straight away and try and land in here. Depending on when you've pointed your camera at this lockup, it may or may not work. If you see that you're not going to make the cycle, like if it's here, just about to close, then land on the front and try and get in. You can get all the nodes in here, like you can do this, you can jump in as it opens, get all the nodes, and jump out before it closes. You can do that. Don't try and count 5 notes in here, just make sure that your counter hits 74. That's my reference, rather than trying to count that you've heard 5 note sounds. Okay. I like to turn my camera a little bit left here, and then a little bit right, so that we're basically can hold up to go up the stairs. Those stairs are really hard, so don't feel too bad if they give you trouble. They give everyone trouble. Jump out of the water, get into Talon Trap right away, jump down here, try not to get hit by this crab. Now if that crab hits you, you'll be on 2 health, and I actually almost prefer getting hit by the crab in my runs, because we're about to go and do Nipper Skip, which can deal either 1 or 2 damage. So 3 health is ideally the safest here, but 2 health for me is faster. Anyway, we want to get right to this point here, and we want to jump off. Now the jump is really hard to make, and you see how this water is like moving in and out, and see how like sometimes when it's out, then Banjo can stand on this spot. Like if I'm in Talon Trap, when it moves in, it'll get me out of Talon Trap. So depending on where the water is, you may or may not use Talon Trap here. So when you're jumping here in Talon Trap, you would go to jump out again, but you're sort of holding the duck button. So what you should probably do is notice here in Talon Trap, I can keep jumping without holding the Talon Trap button. But if I leave it for a little bit, I'll lose Talon Trap. Basically, say if you land, you may or may not stay in Talon Trap. So if you're not holding the Talon Trap button, then I would say doing the jump. If you do happen to lose it, you would just do that. If you lose Talon Trap, you roll high jump up here. If you're in Talon Trap, you jump heck high jump. This is going to be a bit more dangerous now. You jump up here, get the camera facing like straight at Nipper. You want to be in Talon Trap and run off the edge. When you run off the edge, Nipper will do a little cutscene thing. You can actually skip this text with B. This is one of the only texts that you can skip on Xbox. And then you want to jump straight into Nipper and we'll start pecking him. So you jump straight into Nipper, you peck back at him, and then you'll land. And then you want to do 2 little pecks. A lot of people mash it, but I really don't like the mashing method. I think it's much better to do a timed peck. So you're in Talon Trap. You run up, jump in, pull back and peck. He hits you, peck, peck. And those pecks that I'm saying, those last 2, is like AX, 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 AX. Little pecks. So we land here, and we're going to try and get a Talon Trap into loading zone. So we're going to try and Talon Trap right as we touch this loading zone. And it's a bit hard to get, but like that. Do a little jump to this note, and then big jumps to these. Now I've got 1 health, so I'm going to try and jump and grab the jiggy, and I want to fall on an enemy so that it kills me. Oh. Like that. Ideally I would have got it with that first peck, but I didn't there. If you have 2 health left or more, then you kind of sit under the jiggy, let the crabs hit you once, and then you jump up and grab it when you've got 1 health. it has to kill you to skip the jiggy jig. It can't just, you can't grab the jiggy, pull on it, take it damage and skip it. Anyway, into Talent Shot. I'm gonna hold kind of down leftish coming out of here. And you should hit roughly the door. That angle is really hard to get your head around. And I messed it up a bit there. I like to, it's a silly little thing, but I like to try and jump and then flutter, cancel on the ground, and then talent shot. But I kind of like to try and do this as quick as possible and overlap the sounds. You want to basically be holding L2 or RT, whichever one you want. Yeah, I like it. I like to do some rolls though. Oh, I forgot to check the QPC. 99 jiggies, 4 notes. 99 notes, 4 jiggies. And let's see what my goal is. My goal to 518.02. Again, these times aren't super significant, but it's roughly how long they should be taking. And it'll take like a really long time to be able to get these goals. Like as I said, I've been doing it's taken me 2 years of practice to get the times down this far at least. Anyway, let's see. So we've just done the node door, and we just got this little cutscene with Banjo dancing. 2 things you can do here. You can either go straight to Talon Trot and jump into the loading zone, or you can try and get a flutter cancel on Talon Trot into the loading zone. Like that. The last one that I did, the Talon Trot into the loading zone with flutter cancel, is faster, but it's also a little bit harder. The flutter cancel itself isn't too bad because you've got the steps are raised up, so it's not a frame perfect trick anymore. Try and take the inside path here as much as you can. I like to get onto the middle of the net and then poop 3 eggs. And then the reason for this is that I can fall straight into the Cauldron. You get into Talon Trot when you exit this, and do a little jump to this box. Jump behind this, because if you peck it from behind, it tries to bounce you back, and it'll only bounce you back into this wall. If you peck it from this side, it's extremely unlikely that there is a chance that you fall off, and that's probably 30 seconds lost or something. Now here's a strat, and I really hope that I can get it. I like to kind of roll and then hit this on this furthest edge here. And then what we're going to try and do is so if I ground pound, see how I can get into Talon Trot just when I hit the ground. Ah, I forgot to hit on the hand cam, sorry. I don't know how long I've been doing that for. We can Talon Trot and be on the ground. And I like to time it. You can mash it. But I feel like the timing does a lot better of a job, especially since I'm bad at mashing. The point is we want to hit this water switch and get that Talon Trot. Now if we hit the water switch, it's going to raise the water above our heads. The Talon Trot actually stops Banjo from floating up with the water. So instead of being all the way up near where the gold feather is there, we'll actually be at this level, or if we get a Talon Trot with enough forward velocity, we'll actually be right on the ground. And we want to swim down to that pipe, so we want to be as low as we can, basically. The difference between getting your Talon Trot up here and sliding up the edge isn't that big, actually. Because if you're up here, you're a bit above the pipe, right? But if you're down there, you're actually a bit below the pipe. And when you dive, a Banjo points down a little bit. So falling off the edge and getting down to the bottom is faster, but not by much. What you really don't want to do is miss the Talon Trot. So I've just broken this, and I'm going to roll up here, hit it as close to that pipe as possible, and then try to get the Talon Trot. I really hope that I get it. Alright, that's the best case scenario. Are you telling jumping off the edge? And you can see that I'm using a timing method. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And hopefully this will work. Yeah, you should get it in 5 flaps. Maybe wait a little bit longer before you dive, a little bit longer after 8. I like to do this one in 6 flaps. One thing that I'll stress is that moving underwater is a certain speed, and that kind of oscillates as Kazooie is slapping. But you can also move above water. The fastest way to move above the water is to kind of jump and do big flutters. Stay out of the water as much as possible, essentially. Your movement above water is faster than your movement underwater. So optimizing these sections isn't always as simple as moving, so like from here. You're trying to swim from this pipe up to where I am now. And it's not always as simple as moving in a straight line, because it could be possible that you could save time by surfacing earlier because your speed over the top of water is faster. Like if you had a really long section of water and you were almost at the top. I guess a good example is after you've done the bubble bloop puzzle in the old 100% route, like rather than swimming back to the start of where you come into the Clankers lobby, you should surface and flutter across. Anyway, flutter cancel, do a long roll. When you roll, you wait for Banjo's feet to sort of come back. So they'll like roll over his head and they'll come back to where they started. So to avoid, you basically, with the rolls, you have until Banjo's feet touch the ground again. So you roll. You can do the peck like as low as you want. It'll pretty much always hit the grate. You don't need to worry about that. And the lower the better, because it'll like bounce you back less high. And after you hit the grate, talon trot here. Try not to hit the sides, because if you do that, you can like fall off and lose a bunch of time. Flutter cancel, and we're going to hit this, and I want to try and get another one of these talon trots before the cutscene starts. It saves time getting into the talon trot animation. It's not as crucial as the last one, but it's important. I missed it there, but that's okay. I like to talon trot here, jump off the edge, and then pull back. This is to set up the camera, and what we're going to do is a trick called 640 skip. So right now we don't have enough notes to get into here. That's alright. So we've just raised the water level, and what we're essentially going to do is a clip off here. It's easier said than done. We'd like flutter into the 640 door. The way to get this clip is there's a few ways to get it, and a lot of people like the strategy of like easing up into the clip. So like if you hold straight forward, you're not going to get it. You're just going to like slide off. Kind of like that is what happens if you just hold forward into the clip. But if you like ease up, you can get it. But that's not the strategy that I like. What I do is I actually mash up on the joystick. So I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then I'm hooked on there. So it's like lots of little hold forwards. Now, a few things about this trick. If you get into this pipe, so like suppose you're going to do it and you accidentally do this. That actually doesn't look like it that much, but it does change your camera. So when you get the clip out, you won't be able to do anything with your camera, and you'll be absolutely blind as to what to do here. So if you do happen to go into the pipe, what you need to do is you need to jump out over here again to reset it. Again, also when we hit the switch, you'll remember that I got into the talon trot there, and I did the jump out to reset the camera. That's like the same reason. Okay, so basically 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 taps forward, hold up, and then you want to clip off the left side. So again, here's 6 taps forward, alright, flip off the left side, turn your camera around, jump here, flutter into the door. Now what happens if you miss it, the flutter? Oh no, you've just fallen down here, and suppose you've fallen all the way down here. Because you've skipped the bit of actually touching the water surface, Banjo is walking down here, and like you would think that there's no way to sort of get back up. But if you go through this loading zone, it'll just put you in swimming. So that's what happens if you fall down, and you can save it. It's not completely run over. And you fluttering. You get into Talon Trot, do 2 short jumps, and you should avoid that. Now you go into walking, walk around that one, and then jump over that one. You want to kind of aim for still having some time on the timer when you get into Click Clockwood. It's not that big of a deal, but it's fun to have it. You're gonna roll off back here, do a little flutter, roll, jump and grab. Try and get Talon Trot into that cutscene too. It's a little bit easier because of the raised bridge than some of the other ones. You want to basically be going in a straight line to this last note over here. Grab that, jump in. We jump forward, just do lots of little jumps. You jump over this guy, you don't jump around him. But he can be a bit of a pain sometimes. Oops, I missed that. Now here, we got 3 strategies. One of them is high jumping up, and then this guy will probably jump around with. High jumping up is the slowest strategy. The strategy, probably my favorite strategy, but I sometimes don't use it, is you get into Talon Trot. Now if you're in Talon Trot here, you're actually a little bit lower than you could be, so if you try and jump up you won't make it. But if you actually get your shadow flat, so like your shadow should be on this leaf covering it, then you should be able to make it up. Oops. I'm just going to get health. No, I won't bother. So that's one of the strategies. So what you could do is you could jump up here, Talon Trot up, and then jump past that bird. That's probably my favorite and the one that I would recommend. There's another strategy which I sometimes use because it is faster. You get into Talon Trot and you basically jump around the bird. But that's like really easy to miss. Now if you miss this middle strategy that I told you with just Talon Trotting and jumping up here, then if you miss that, then you can usually land on the leaf. But in this case, if you miss it, you're screwed. But the fastest strategy is to kind of Talon Trot up there. But it's annoying. Wow, that's really being a pain today. And this is why I don't often go for it. There we go. I like to get the first note, and then try and do a jump and still grab the last 2. Ooh, that could have been bad. Here, we're jumping up this slope, and I like to do big jumps. Something I didn't mention is like big jump versus little jump up the slope. I like big jumps up slopes because like you got a certain slope speed here. When you jump off, Banjo's not going to be moving at full horizontal speed because of the slope, but he's going to be speeding up as you jump off. So if you do little jumps, then he sort of does speed up, but not that much. Like he does speed up a bit, but you hit the ground before he's reached a really nice high speed. But if you do long jumps, then he reaches a high speed. With long jumps though, you do want to make sure that you're jumping as soon as possible. What you don't want is something like this. That's what you don't want, because I was on the ground, and on the ground, going up slopes is really bad. So yeah, I like long jumps up slopes. Apparently, if the slope gets steep enough, then short jumps become better. I'm not sure exactly how steep it has to be. This could be one where short jumps are better, but I still use long jumps. For example, the slope coming into Click Clockwood, you do use long jumps up. I did check that one, but yeah. Anyway, alright, so I'm gonna jump out here. You jump around these birds. I would always recommend doing this in spring. Summer, you can do it, but it's a lot more risky. But spring is fine. Hold the duck and then talon trot. Otherwise, you could accidentally ground pound when you try and do that. Jump from this point out here. If you think you're going to miss it, then do a peck. It's much better than missing it. Now you pound this switch and you try and take damage from that guy. He wasn't there to take damage from. If he's really in the way, you're going to have to kill him before you pound the switch. You zoom the camera in here. Yeah, you can't try. One thing that I didn't mention before is ground pound recoil. So like, I ground pound and after you hit the ground, Banjo does a little recoil thing. During that time, after he hits the ground and before he hits the ground, between now and now, he's invincible. And that also counts for full damage. So I ground pound recoiled off of there and I landed on here without full damage. If you just ground pound off the edge, you're screwed. But if you ground pound recoil off the edge, then you're good. You can also hit this enemy on the way down. If you do hit it, then it'll kind of reactivate all of that falling damage as well. So you'd hit it, you'd take 1 damage, and then you'd also take the full damage after. If you hit the guy here, what you want to do is mash A to flutter. So it's not run over if you hit the guy, you just have to mash A. So keep a really good eye out for that. Anyway, yep, I've zoomed the camera in, and you jump through this door. The reason I zoom the camera in is so that it doesn't get caught on the door. Yeah. In the summer, you can also jump over this guy. But I'd like to kind of avoid it. Wait till a little bit after that grass, and then you jump up the leaf. So a little bit after the edge of this grass, and then you jump up the leaf. It's pretty hard to get, but yeah. Maybe it's just you wait till the edge of the grass, I don't know. If you're not comfortable with this strat, do a high jump. I'm always like missing it, so if you miss it, I'll try and give an example. Oh no, I missed it. Don't do a roll actually, that was bad of me. So suppose I missed it, and then I would come down here. High jump up. You want to high jump up here? You may or may not trigger this bird. Now again, there's a fast way and a slow way to do this. So the fast way is to high jump up here, and then get a talon trot and run off. I hate that strat, I don't use it. So what I do is I high jump. Now ideally I haven't triggered the bird. If I haven't, there's the bird trigger. Alright, so if I haven't triggered the bird, then I high jump up, and then I can roll under it and get a talon trot there. If I have triggered the bird, suppose I've triggered the bird. Talon trot here, and then jump around it. Or talon trot there, wait for it to go back in, and then jump around it. But yeah, ideally you haven't triggered the bird, so do this. Okay, now jumping around these birds in summer is harder. Basically, you want to do what I did just then, so don't touch the camera once you've sort of got it in there. And you see like these little pointy bits here, where the geometry changes angle? It's like a tiny little bit after those you want to jump, and you just hold forward. But yeah. The amount that you have to jump around them almost makes it like not worth it to jump around them. It really doesn't save that much time, and I wouldn't recommend it, like, especially when you're starting out. Oop, I messed that up. I might demonstrate that again. Hold the talon trot button, flutter cancel talon trot. If you're having trouble with these, you can flutter around these little alcoves. I like to press R here, zoom the camera in. Now, I have a strat for this. This house jump is incredibly scary. I'll show you a backup strat for it as well. But what I do in my runs is I jump to grab that node that was there, slide across to that node there, and then I hit the end of my slide. Then I do 3 to 4 clucks with a specific angle and then try and make the jump across the house. What we're trying to do is get onto this little bit of plank and then jump across to the jiggy. Right, well, that's right, I'll just take the deafy file there. So you want the camera zoomed in for later. Jump, slide across. 1, 2, 3 or 4 clucks and then jump across. And it's a very specific angle because if you like are too far, like if you basically go straight through the door, then you don't hit that little bit of plank that's a bit extended. If you want a little bit of a safer strat, you can wait until the camera gets in the house. If you want an even safer strat, you can use this really long plank here. But anyway, so basically what I do is I would do it blind for this jump, but you basically jump across to the jiggy, jump across here, jump across this plank, and then go here. In this last plank, you can, if you mess this up, you can usually save it with a K. And then I get these 2 notes, jump down here, and then jump across here. Now there is a very good save strat for this house, which really isn't that much slower. What you would do is you would leave all these notes, basically. You shoot an egg here, and if the jiggy was there, that would have grabbed it. I use this black line as a reference. So you shoot the egg, and you grab the jiggy. You can also grab the life this way, but I don't think it's worth it. So if you do this backup strat, you will be down a life, but I'll show you a backup life as well. Anyway, you'd come back here and grab the 4 notes and then jump down, as usual. Now, I told you to zoom your camera in and jump down these planks. Ooh. Ooh. Alright. You can also jump across this snare there. Now, see where the eyes are? Everything in front of the eyes hurts you, and everything behind the eyes doesn't hurt you. This sort of hitboxing that I described still stays the same if you if the snare bear rotates around, that hitbox doesn't change. So if it changes to facing me, it'll still be the left side from my perspective and the right side. Anyway, you can sort of jump across the snare bear, but I really don't like that strat. So you see that I'm just standing on here and it's fine. If I move closer, then it would hurt me, but you would jump across. I am not a fan of that strat. That is way too risky and it doesn't even save any time. Because you could just jump down to this plank and then do it. Make sure your camera's zoomed in though. That is really crucial for jumping down to these planks. Because if your camera's not zoomed in, then it'll catch on something and it'll flip and you'll die. I like to zoom my camera back out here, either to middle or full zoom out. Jump down here. Now, if you're getting the naughty notes, you would talent shot jump up here. You would land on the edge here, take 1 health of full damage, flutter off, and then ground down the boulder. I recently rerouted this to get 2 more notes in clankers instead of the naughty jiggy. So what I do now is I just roll off, flutter, talent shot, jump under this bird. Oh, now I want a damage there, that's okay. You should be on 3 health here, so however much health you have, you can slide under these birds, and if you jump as you're sliding under, you'll take a damage and get hit in a very favourable direction. So 3 health here. Now what you want to do is you want to cancel here, run off, and ground down. After this cutscene, we're going to do a death block. But after this cutscene, just flutter into the bird and you die. That's what you want. Talent shot, we're going to autumn. Zoom your camera in so that it doesn't get caught, and you should go really nicely into that door. So getting into autumn is one of those other things. If you try and get the camera behind you, it would be really slow. But if you just run into the camera, yes, it's kind of harder to see where you're going, but with practice, it'll be faster. that note is really hard to get, but ideally you land on the land and grab the note like that. I like to land next to this guy and get this note like that. These birds you can go under. You want sort of... Now if you take a damage on those birds, usually I take just one damage, like just out of accident essentially. But one damage is actually optimal. If you take two, you're going to start running into trouble. When you like jump, because your hitbox moves down a little bit when you're in this sliding animation, so that's what you use to get under those birds that I ran past just before. What I like is to do 2 jumps here and a little extended roll high jump. If you don't get enough height, you ground pound in there. This green guy on the way to the hive, you can either kill him or leave him. It's faster to leave him, but it really depends where he is, because sometimes it's just really silly to try and not kill him. Now, this life here is the backup life. It's 4.5 seconds to get. So the fastest life that we get in the route is 2.5 seconds. This one's 4.5. So that's basically why the Huts, Jiggy, and Mumbo's Mountain's worth it. So we can skip this life. If you do skip it, then you want to jump to this Mumbo token and jump across. I'll show you what happens if you want to get it there. You get it, you get near it, you gold feathers. There we go. Now I have one more life than I would normally have in a run now, but that will save me from accidentally getting like a game over during this tutorial. Okay. We want to jump around Navnut's text trigger. Now the reference that I use for this is I kind of stay on this black line until I get about here, and then I can basically take a straight line into the door. Even hitting the right side of the door will trigger his text, and triggering his text is really bad on Xbox, so you want to get a feel for this sort of radius of his text trigger that I'm walking around, like that, which I just messed up. Yeah, so you want to jump on the right side of the door. You really don't want to hit his text. Alright, now with this room, I like to jump onto the edge of here and then jump up like that. This jump is actually really quite hard to make. You sort of want to jump into the wall and jump up. This is like, I'm making it look a lot easier than it is, and I think it is a little bit easier on Xbox than N64. But yeah, don't be too put off if you miss this, because it's not easy. Of course, the backup strat is just high jump up there, but that is slow. Yeah, when you come out of the door, you're going to jump sort of on the edge of this. The reason that I like to jump on the edge is because if I jump from here, you can like get caught under this bit of the platform, and that's usually what messes you up. So you're going to kind of hold into the wall and jump. It's really hard, and it took me a long time before I started actually not using the high jump strat. Now what I did with these 3 birds here was I did some slope abuse. So I stay on this slope. These slopes are slippery, so you can't stay on them for longer than a second without resetting your slope timer over flat ground. So you essentially just wait for the birds to come out and let's see. Oh, yeah, that's an example of them being slippery. I'll have to come back up here, but that's right. I wanted to get back to the side that I was on to kind of explain. Alright, so just come out of neck runs. Now, going onto these slopes will trigger the beds. You won't really trigger them too much before the slopes. But anyway, what a lot of people do is they like to go onto the slope and then like jump from the slope straight towards the bed. And that is a tiny bit faster, but what I prefer to do is... So, what I'm saying is a lot of people will wait on the slope until the bird basically goes back in. And that gets you really close to hitting that slope timer and sliding off, and it's very risky. What I like to do is jump a little bit earlier and just hold into the wall, essentially. So like, oh, he was on his second little cluck cycle there. He usually only does the one quick one. So I like to kind of jump and hold into the wall. See how much I'm holding into the wall there? Yes, it's a bit slower, but it's much safer. So a lot of people will instead... let's see, how am I going to get back? Oh, that's a shame. I really didn't want to fall down again. Yeah, a lot of people will just jump straight out the bed, so they'll like wait until the birds are basically back in before they try jumping. I have to get a few health. Alright. Yeah, a lot of people will just jump forward like that. Alright, what we want to do is get these notes. We're going to get the notes in Mumbo, Skull, and Deathwarp out. So basically what we want to do is we want to run off forward and then pull back after a little bit. So now that was really bad, and I've actually been messing that up a lot lately. What I want to do, and this is why I made sure I had 5 health. What you essentially want to do is... you want to be landing on top of here, and then you want to land on top of here, but with a bit of velocity this way, like this way, forward, that way. And then what will happen is Banjo will take the full damage, come off, and you flutter into this door. If you really want to try for it, you can try and get a talon shot into loading zone, but it's pretty hard. This pole jump is hard. I like to jump, hold forward a bit, and then you kind of let go. So jump and hold forward a bit, and kind of jump off there. Do big jumps to get these 4 notes. 3, 4, and then I like to... You can use mitten setup again, the big barge, but since we don't need to hit the text trigger, I just want to die. I don't care about dying precisely. Back into spring, because we want to do. Now I like to take a damage here, ideally get knocked back the way that I did just then. Jump across here, and we do 2 jumps in the water, 1 deep, 1 little. Flutter cancel there, talon trap. Hold R a bit to help you here. Hold R again. You can get under this bed. That under the bed is pretty safe, and if you take a damage, it's actually a little bit good, so don't worry about that. Now I want to get these 3 notes. We got 2 strategies here, and I've been meaning to time them actually, but I haven't yet. What you can do is you need to run down a bit and like get over here. If you land too low on this slope, then you will take full damage, so be careful of that. But what I do is, because I'm on 3 health now, I want 1 health when I get into Mumbo Skull for the Death Lord. If you're just starting out running, I would really recommend just doing this strat coming down here. But if you're comfortable getting across the bramble field and only taking 1 health, I think that it's a little bit quicker to do this. So you jump off, and then you have, so you land here with a little bit of velocity towards the water, just a little bit, and then, so like if I just land and take the full damage, then Banjo has to like get back up. But if Banjo takes full damage and goes off an edge, then he can flutter back on. So I land, flutter back on, and Talon drop into the snow. So that you can either take your extra damage there or take it in a bramble field. So since I took my extra damage there, I'm not going to take it in the bramble field. Hence, what I need to do is run a little bit down. See, there's a slope there. I want to run a little bit down that slope, and then do big jumps. 1, 2, 3. Now that third jump, if I had landed in the bramble there, I would have taken a hit, and that would have been really bad. But what I did there was really consistent. Like, you can pretty much always get across and only take 1 damage. Anyway, it's a Mumbo's. 1 step, big jump, and a peck. You want to be out of Talon Trot and on this platform. You could mash X there as well. You can get a washing machine or a T-Rex here. I think, if I remember correctly, a washing machine's like a 1 in 40 and a T-Rex is 1 in 80 or something. Anyway, so we hold A until Mumbo finishes his first text. Until you can move, basically, and then I'm just F1. You would be on 0 lives at this point, so I'm on 1 because I got that extra on him. Now, this is the grip that I sort of use for B movement. So, this finger for the R button, because you want to hold R when you're flying, like, at all times. And then you want to hold, like, my finger just holds X, basically this whole time. For the next 5 levels, or something levels, because if you're flying as the B and you're not holding X, then you go a certain speed. But if you hold X, then you speed up. You speed up like drastically if you hold X. You can even see it. And yeah, when you're flying, you want to hold R. So my basic grip for flying is like that, and the reason that it's kind of like that is because the alternative is doing that, and then like the middle of my thumb is trying to press the A button for flaps, and that's just too imprecise. You really need that good control for flaps. So yeah, that's what we're doing with the B. Now I'll talk a little bit about flying. So flying depends. So to fly we jump and then press A. Now flying depends, if I want to get height, suppose I jump and then I do 6 taps. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do jump, that was 6 taps. And you see how high I get compared to this jiggy platform. If you space out your taps more, then you get more height, basically. So if you want to go lower, you do quick taps. If you want to go higher, you do spaced out taps. So it's setups for flying with the B are more complicated than just do this amount of taps. It's do this amount of taps with a certain amount of spacing. So I'm going to do a 6 tap slower. And you can see how much higher I got there. And I'll do a 6 tap even slower than that. That was a 6 tap, and you can see that I got even higher there. One little thing about when you're flying as the B, I've heard that you should like point your nose forward if you're getting height while flying, apparently. I really do want to do more testing with this, looking at exact velocity values and stuff. Anyway, so that's the basics of the B movement. When we come out of Click-Clock Wood, we want to get the life on top of Click-Clock Wood. This life is the slowest life in the route. It's about 2.5 seconds. So you saw that I was kind of letting go of B, X accordingly. That sort of allows me to get the life there. You hold A to skip, to go through Mumbo's text fast in this corner, and now we're going to do a trick called RBA. You might be familiar with RBA on N64, where the B can clip out, but those clips don't actually work on Xbox. So we're going to have to do something called the Cauldron method of RBA. I have a separate video tutorial on this, so I'm not going to go too in-depth on it. Basically what we want to do is we want to mash A and get up through this wall until we're on like the center of the roof. And then you want to pull back a bit and then point our nose forward. And then with our nose forward, we're going to like mash while holding X and everything. And then eventually we're going to stop mashing. And then what will happen is the bee will be like flying up into the roof really fast. And because he's flying up into the roof so much, there's not much forward velocity. But when you stop mashing, there's like one point where the game swaps from making the bee go up really fast and he sort of gets unhooked, and then he has like heaps of forward velocity. And the Mumbo text trigger happens like sort of between me and the Cauldron. And you wanna get enough forward velocity so that you hit that Mumbo text trigger, go all the way to the Cauldron activation range, and then hit the Cauldron cutscene. So Mumbo would try to de-transform you, but before he manages to, the Cauldron cutscene starts, and then it shows you the other room, and then when you come back, you're still the bee. If the grungy text overlaps this, you're screwed, because you hit the cutscene and you de-transform. So it's run over. As soon as this Cauldron is activated, you can't do RBA on Xbox. If you do miss it in a traditional sense, like you just don't get far enough, then you carefully go back to the Clockwood as Banjo and transform into the bee again. You try again. But if you miss it, you're losing like a minute and a half. What we're going to do is we're going to face this wall. I might fly out again. So you get Mumbo's text around here. You face into this wall and mash A. Face the middle, hold forward. Now around here you start holding B and you stop mashing there, and you get the Cauldron. Where you stop and you hold like oh god, hold forward here. You do not want to get that transformation again. With the mashing B, so you're holding X and mashing A. If I say B, I mean X, by the way. You're holding X and mashing A. You actually stop mashing a lot earlier than you might think. It's not like stop mashing when you hit the Mumbo trigger. It's like stop mashing considerably before you hit the Mumbo trigger. My recommendation for Cauldron RBA would be to get like the practice menu up on N64. Practice Cauldron RBA on N64. Now on N64, Cauldron RBA is like nearly Tasmanian. Like, no, I don't want to say Tasmanian. It's like really hard though. Not Tasmanian, but it is really hard. If you can get Cauldron RBA once on N64, then you'll get it like every time on Xbox, because for some reason it's really easy on Xbox. Anyway, we're jumping in here. One flap after the bee touches the water. If the bee touches water, he'll fly up, so keep that in mind. 3 quick taps, and then 1 tap up here. We want to point our nose forwards and get into focus. With pointing our nose forward, we don't want to hold X all the way. You hold X once the bee is moving down. Anyway, 1 tap here, and then we're going to try and trigger that guy. With these grill chompers, after the last little tooth chomp noise, you wait a little bit, and then you can walk under them. Now, you can walk under them. Earlier than that, they'll probably hit you. You can actually walk under these grill chompers without getting hit, but it's like really hard and inconsistent. So I tend to not go for that. Pull down. Oh, I was supposed to fly. I'll show that again. Pull down, hit fly. What you want to do is you want to land on this note. So what we would have done is landed on that note and then flew around, so we don't have to wait for the grilled chopper. Now that is what I was afraid of. I've stopped doing this strat, but I wanted to show it. You need to take 2 damage at some point during this level. So what I used to do was I would like just try and run under this grilled chopper and hope that I get through. But I stopped doing that recently. But it's there if you want it. The issue is it can knock you off, and you fall in at least a bunch of time. Once you get this note, you want to go... also, if I give you a number of taps, it's like... it doesn't include the jump. So if I do jump 1, 2, 3, 4, I'll call that a 4 tap, for example. Yeah, I won't include the jump. So really, if you want to include the jump, a 4 tap is a 5 tap. What I call a 4 tap. Okay, so you want to, for this setup, you want to jump 1, 2, 3, 4, and that should get you just over the wall. It's a little bit safe that I do there, but you can do 1, 2, 3, 4 really quickly, but sometimes you don't get over the wall. So I do 1, 2, wait a little bit, 3, 4. We'll get all these. When the bee is walking, notice I'm changing movement angles between all these notes. So I want to be jumping. Jumping gets you an instant movement speed. Walking, you have to speed up. When the bee lands from a jump, he doesn't really lose any speed. So don't worry about doing a bunch of jumps. When you get this note, you want to fall off, and then as soon as you hit the water, tap A again. And you should line yourself up with this note, and then once you get it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, then you should get over the wall. Exactly with that timing that I mentioned. If you do 8 really quickly, you won't get over the wall. Now I've messed that up a bit and I rotated way too much there. You can see my PB for how I turned around a few times in the air there. I would just normally go right down to the jiggy. You can grab this jiggy in flying or on foot. It's faster in flying. If you're in flying, you want to tap A as soon as you grab the jiggy. What I'll do is I'll jump and tap A now. Now we want to try our very best to not land in this pipe after we get into flying. So you can fly here, hold R and B, and maneuver your way out of the pipe. Now that was bad, what I did there. And I've actually been having a lot of trouble with this lately for some reason. So what I do now, as a safe strategy, is I do 2 taps. That second tap there, no, I messed up my safe strat even. I've landed. Yeah, I've been having a lot of trouble with this lately, but so what I've been doing is like jump and fly, and then press the tap again around here, and then that should get you out of the pipe. Usually the camera's behind you as well, so that was a bit sketchy. You want to land here and fall down. Now, suppose you do land, where's the pipe? Suppose you do land at the end of the pipe, or like here or something. Then what you want to do is you want to just jump and tap, and then you can land here and fall down. You'll land next to the key. You want to jump through it once, then jump through it again. The key has a little bit of a refresh timer where, like, once you jump through it once, you can't jump through it again just yet. You have to wait a little bit. So that's why I get the note in that time. And I've gone through it 2 out of 3 times now. Then you just fly through it the 3rd time. So this route sort of lets you, it lets you like get all 3 jumps through the key without waiting on the key turny thing. Let's see. Okay. So here I just do a bunch of presses until I'm about this high. You wanna be over this pipe, and if you don't want to undershoot it, because if you overshoot it early, like overshoot the height early, then you can sort of hold forward to line yourself up by the time you get there. But if you undershoot it and you realize late, then you have to do another press, and it takes you ages to lower down to the height because you don't have the horizontal distance to work with that lowering. Once you get this last note, you're going to fly through here, sort of hold forward a bit, and then get out here. Oop. You can get a few notes in flying here. Also, with the clanker thing there, you'll notice I didn't get Clanker's text saying like "Hello, I'm Clanker" or whatever in that pipe. Over there. That's because we've already raised him. So it's actually really important to raise him before you get those notes in the pipe over there, especially on Xbox. Alright, so we want to do this, jump and a tap. Now I go 1, 2, 1, 2. And that usually gets me with not too much height. Basically I just mashed actual B here through here because the snippets text come up at any time and you want to be prepared for it. Hopefully they don't hit you too much. Now this is bad because I haven't got the camera behind me, but it's not too bad. When you come out of here, 1, 2, 3, 4, and you should be near this bottom note. One more tap and you hopefully get all of them flying. I'm going to do that again because I think this strat is like a really important one. It saves a bunch of time. And hopefully I'll get it with the camera actually behind me this time. Alright. Come out of here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Should be around the bottom. You can let go of X a bit to kind of line yourself up. And your height should be roughly around this jiggy. I'm a bit low now, so I need another tap. To get that jiggy in the grate there, you don't touch the analog stick at all. If your nose is pointed down at all, then you won't get it. Now, if you haven't taken damage by now, you should take it on that guy that I just passed. While he's doing his whole chompy thing, you're waiting for him anyway. Jump up and get this. Jump, 1, 2. I'll try it again. Alright, got the note here, jump 1, 2, 3, and that's it. And then your height should be lined up really nicely for this note. So those, alright, hold forward here. Let go a bit there. Ah, sorry, I messed that up really badly. I was supposed to hold forward and go all the way through those two really close ones. And then you have to do some letting go. I'm not sure if I have the health to show it off again. Anyway. Yeah, I might show you inside that bolt and a little bit of stuff around that. But this strat, you're not supposed to come out of the pipe like this, I just want to talk about the strat. Alright, for this strat, what you want to do, this is really tricky and I actually lost a lot of time to it in my PV. But basically you want to be jumping up, you want to jump up and hold B, don't worry about R yet. Jump off backwards and you want to be holding forward into the wall when you hit the water. And you should get through there, hopefully. We get 8 notes here, so you can count 8, or I sort of like to get the, just stop when I get the first one into the teethy area. You do jump and then 1, 2, 3 flaps. Hold kind of back so your nose is pointing up into the roof, and that will let you kind of stay at the same horizontal position. So that gives you a lot of control, and you don't hold B here. So jump, 1, 2, 3, and then you hold B here, and you'll start going up here through where these eggs are and stuff. So, I've just done it here. You're going to jump 1, 2, 3, and then once you've lined yourself up, you press A one more time. Jump 1, 2, 3, and once you've lined yourself up, that's really bad actually. You press A one more time, and you should go through there. Come out here, hold down. Don't go too far past the edge of this water, otherwise you could void out. And don't hit this loading zone in here either. So after this note, you should jump up here because it's a slope that you want to jump up. So you should always jump up slopes and walk down slopes. And jump if you're changing your angle on flat ground. So as the so you want to jump up to this note, jump 1, 2 really quickly. And then let go of D here for a bit of control and you can get that note. You can sort of fly around this and grab that note while you're still in flying, but it's a little bit inconsistent. Once you're here, jump and get the flying. When you're ready, one more tap to get in. You don't want to hit the roof. There you go. You're going to jump forward here because you're just starting movement, so you don't want to go through that acceleration. You just want to get right into your movement. After this note, you can do a little jump if you have 2 health. Sometimes the fans hit you, and that's what you want. Also, the bee can't get hit by these fans, because the bee has a lower hitbox than Banjo. Anyway, grab this jiggy, so we need it. And then we'll death roll. Now, I'm just going to talk a little bit, so we'd exit the level now, but I'm just going to talk a little bit about sort of the route here. So you'll notice that I got this note, and then I flew up and got these 2 up here. Now, that essentially costs 10 seconds. The way this bolt on flanker works is it's on a cycle of 10 seconds. So those 2 notes essentially cost a bolt cycle, which is 10 seconds. And the notes themselves actually are 8 seconds out of your way. So I think it's pretty unlikely that it would end up costing you 2 bolt cycles. So yeah, it's pretty much always going to cost you 10 seconds unless you get like really, really lucky. It could, like, you could make the same bolt cycle. Like if you had just walked forward, you might have just missed the bolt cycle and had to wait for the next one. So you could have got the notes in that time. Anyway, those notes I get instead of the notes in Naughties in summer. And the reason that these are... Naughties take about a bit over 11 seconds, but these are so much faster because it actually causes you to get 100 notes for clankers, which means that I have 1 more life, and with that life, that means that I don't need to get an extra one somewhere. I'll talk a little bit about these this spinning blades here. So when you get in the room, just hold forward, and hold forward into these notes that you'd be collecting, and you should get hit here, and then just keep holding forward. Wait for that fan, and then just hold forward. So that's the strat for that room. So you intentionally take a damage there. And I'm just going to exit the level, because that's all that I wanted to show off. So I'll show you how close this void is to the water. So imagine I just went out a bit further. Yeah, it's like that close, so be careful. Voiding out doesn't take a life. Just that's that. I forgot to do the totals for Click Lockwood, so we'll update this little document. So 80 notes, 2 jiggies. Now my goals for Click Lockwood are a little bit complicated because I do seasonal splits. One thing that I should mention as well is when I say my goals for a level or a certain thing, that's not including the layer movement. I have splits for the layer movement and splits for the levels themselves. So yeah, they probably, if you have splits that include all the layer stuff, those times would seem like really low. When I do Click Lockwood, I split not when I exit the season that the split is about, but when I enter the next season. That's just because routes change, and when you enter the next season is always consistent, but sometimes like death warps or void outs are added over like walking out of the season, so a bit of the lobby movement can be different. So yeah, I like to split when I enter the next season. Let's see. Spring has a gold of 138. Summer has a gold of 148, 67. Autumn has a gold of 251, 23. And Spring 2, all the way to exiting Click Liquid, has a gold of 122, 17. Alright. That's all Click Liquid. Plankers. My gold is a 503.42. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that Plankers gold as well. That's a good one. Okay. I'll exit out of that. With these bars, basically you can't walk straight out because the bars are kind of solid from the back, but there is a gap here that you can't walk out. And I think, no, you can't even walk in it as the B. Looks like really silly. Yeah, so you can't walk in this gap, but you can walk out of it. The gap itself is only one-sided. Okay, so we've just walked out of that gap. You just want to jump and press A once. Get under this door. You want to jump up here and fall down. And then press A once. Jump and press A once here. Kind of let go of B a little bit to get yourself lined up for this chin. Fall up. This gap is similar, but you can walk through it as the B. So you should be able to get through this gap. Yeah, anyway, once you're through it, grab the jiggy, walk back out, jump one, wait quite a long while, and then tap it again. Now this that I'm going to do here is Bubble Gloop Early. You might be familiar with Bubble Gloop Early with the B on N64, with the clip through the door. That doesn't work on Xbox. What I want to do is basically fly over the top and come into Bubble Gloop from underneath. You want to jump and then you do 7 taps. Jump, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, fairly quickly, or you'll get over. Oh, I went really far over. I must not have done quick enough. Jump. Oh. I'll blow that here on purpose. Maybe you can do it in 6. Yeah, you can do it in 6. I was practicing on N64 earlier, so it was probably that was the issue. When you get under the ground, you want to hold back when you're in a bit, and then hopefully you get it. Now this trick is just awful. So basically what you want to be attempting, the fastest way to get Bubble Gloop Early is you want to line up for the door, hold, just get under the ground, and then pull back, and then hopefully get in the door, like that. And then from here, you can see I'm in here, and I could jump into the door. But there's a safe strat, and I would really highly recommend this safe-ish strat. The issue with Bubble Gloop Early is that you're essentially doing everything blind. But if you get yourself here, and you sort of line up with where the door would be, which is there, then you can jump off, wait a little bit, and then you can see the door, and then you can get straight in. So you can actually, see the door object. You won't see the whole thing, but you do see the door. So yeah, I highly endorse this safe strat. And I used it in my PB, because I didn't want to choke it. Of course, it being a safe strat, it is a bit slower, but it's really only a second or two. Okay, so you jump off, and then you'll be able to see the door, and then you just go in. It's a very good strat for getting into Bubble Gloop. Now this is my favorite, most technical level of B stuff. This was in N64 and E%, so I'm a lot more practiced at this than Clankers, for example. What you want to do is you want to jump 1 A press, 2nd A press here. You want to land on this back note. Now, the A presses you can put a little bit close together so that you don't overshoot the note, but you really don't want to do them too close because otherwise you won't make it this high. You zoom the camera out and you walk down here, you walk off the edge, you land there, and that's a really nice little walking section. You're on this back note. 2 A press, well, jump and then 1 A press. And here, you might be able to get some of these in flying, it's pretty hard though. Now, here, jump in 1 A press, you can get a lot of these in flying. You can actually get all 3 in flying and stay in flying if you want. That's really hard. So if you land, it's jump and then 2 very quick A presses. If you stay in flying, it's just 2 very quick A presses. You want to do them as quick as you can. You can't do them so quickly that you will undershoot this note. And you want to do them really quickly because you want to be lower so that you can land on the way. No. Walk down. This is a downward slope, so we're good to walk down there. Jump up here. Land on this note. Jump on 1 A press. Now, another route is you could get the notes on top of viol now, but that is a little bit slower. So what we're going to do is go here. Jump in 1 A press, and you want to pull back, and then kind of let go of X, get yourself lined up. 1, 2, 3. Don't count 3 notes. What you want is 31 notes. Ideally, you land on that, on the top of this, and you fall down. Don't hold X here. Don't do it. You just want to jump 1 A press with R. Now you can start pressing X a little bit. If you hold X, you're going to overshoot this. You want to land on this and fall down. Don't hold X here, just R and A. Fall down. You can hold X here. Maybe let go of it a little bit towards the end. Yeah, there you go. Do not hold X here. This is the most important one. That was really weird. I'll show you what I normally do. So normally I've just gotten this note. Normally I come in the other way, so kind of like that. But it's more like, I don't know why I can't go that so much now. So I've gotten this. It's normally like I fly a bit that way, so you can see that I come in like that. That's normally what I do. Do hold X here. You want to hit this wall and then get that, fall down, get this note, and these other 2. Don't hold X here. Ideally you land on that. But yeah, a lot of, like, it's very easy to make the mistake of holding X in this maze and trying to land on everything. That's just not going to happen. So hold forward. Yeah. Jump. 1 A press. You're going to land on top of the eye. And now we get these notes. A reasonably big jump and then just 1 A press. You want to kind of grab this note. Fall off here. We're going to leave that note up there for later. This is a very recent strat, leaving that note. But it's cool and I like it. This is the life. This is a backup life here. I used to get this life there before I swapped to getting 100 notes and clankers. But anyway, what we do is jump in 1 A press, hold forward, and we want to get under this note. 1, 2, 3, 4. From here, we want to come out to the right. We don't touch the camera at all during here, but I'm going to touch it just for the demonstration, so you can see what I'm doing. You do the biggest jump that you can. Now, this big jump is sort of what loses a little bit of time with leaving that other note, but it does save time overall. So, biggest jump you can, 1 A press. 2nd A press. You should grab that note and land on that note. It's a really smooth thing, but you do need that really big jump at the start to make it work. Now, with these feet, it's a little bit faster to fly and hopefully grab that note and grab that note. You'd normally land on that back note and you'd walk to this one, and then you'd like, his head gets in the way of a lot of stuff, so you want to jump over his shell. And you get that last one there. But that flying strat is extremely inconsistent, and it's only like faster sometimes, and it's like by half a second. So what I do is I grab this note and then I just walk. Walking is like, I would highly recommend walking here. Between these 2 notes, you can either like jump on his shell or go down here. Here I would recommend jumping on the shell there, because the shell protrudes a bit more. Now, did you notice that so what you sort of would normally think to do is you would jump, grab the note, jump, and then fly. But you can actually skip some of that by just jumping, grabbing the note, and then flying straight off. That gives you a very low height as well, which makes these notes line up really nicely. You can get 2 or 3, and then you get the rest in walking. Drop down as low as you can, and then fly. Okay. So bubble glue. We have 83 notes, I think. 83 notes. And my gold is 256.16. Oh, no. Again, I'll stress that does not include the layer movement. So yeah, I'm like, bubble clip is the level that I'm really happiest with my optimization for. The gold is still a little bit fresh because I've come up with some strategies from there, but it could probably drop to like a 255 or something. Yeah, bubble clip is probably my favorite level in the run. Okay, so this is like the hardest trick, not the hardest trick, sorry. It's the most punishing trick if you miss it. If you miss this trick, it's run over, like no matter what. What we want to do is we want to essentially get out, but not trigger the Mumbo transformation. D-transformation, sorry. If we trigger the Mumbo D-transformation without hitting the loading zone to exit, we're screwed. So Mittens came up with a really good strategy for this. What we do is we jump, and then press A 3 more times. Jump, 1, 2, 3. You get to this seam on the wall, 1, 2, and hold forward without B. When you get over the wall, you can hold B a little bit. And I missed it there. Like, you can see how hard it is. If you miss it, then just fly up and void out. Flying down, the void out's really low, so fly up. Jump, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, and B. X, sorry, not B. Again, I missed it. It's a really, really hard trick. And it's blind as well. The thing, like, I'll show you what happens if you just fly over this wall. See, it doesn't render. You can see the extra life there, that's sort of where it should be. But it doesn't render, so you can't even see what you're doing. But this method sort of forces it to render. Five, and run. Oh, now I'm still, you saw how I wiggled a bit? That means that I was still inbound, it just wasn't rendered. Jump, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. There we go. So you can see that it started, like it rendered a bit there. That's what you want. So, jump 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, hold forward, press B about now, X, sorry. See, yeah, it sucks. Yeah. I really wish we didn't have to do this in the run, but we do. It's pretty crucial that we do it. Alright. Jump, 1, 2, 3. Oh, now I'm in bounds there still, so yeah, I don't know why I'm having so much trouble with this at the moment, but yeah, the reference for when you do the 2 presses is when you like pass a bit on the wall. Jump, 1, 2, 3. About here, 1, 2. When you pass that certain bit on the wall. Now, you know that you got it when you can kind of see the life, and you can sort of use that life to reference what's going on before it renders. Jump, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. Now that is in bounds. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, anyway, there's a few good ones that you can look at in there. I don't know why I'm having so much trouble with it at the moment, but it is not a nice trick. I do have a strat though. I have a safe strat for it. I forgot that I had this, but I do. What you can do is you can sort of get here and pull back here. And then you can like maneuver it with the pullback. That's the safe strat for it. Of course it's slower. Okay, when you get out of here, jump and then 2 presses. You need to do these 2 presses really quickly so that you don't get too much height. And then slip under this door. After here, jump and then 1 press really quickly, and you should land just here, fall off, and then fly. 1 or 2 presses here. The 2 presses would be really quick. The 1 press would be, yeah. 2 presses is safer, but it's a little bit like 2 presses you overshoot it, and you take a little while to come down. 1 press you could undershoot it, which is really bad. We want to do Gobi's early, so you sort of get around here and jump in, and then you fail it. This trick sucks. If the bee's floating like that, then the bee is building downward speed. So Gobi's early sucks. I want a good setup for it, but unfortunately that just doesn't exist. So you basically jump off that spot, go to the middle-ish, and then try and pull back. Jump off here, go to the middle-ish, and then try and pull back. That didn't work, so I'm going to try and jump to the middle, wiggle around. The issue with this is you would think you can just keep jumping around and trying it again, but for a lot of that time where you're in the middle there trying to get the clip, you're actually technically airborne. So if you press jump, instead of jumping, you'll actually fly. So that's sort of why it is so difficult. Right, so I didn't get it, so I'm going to jump into the middle, and then I'm going to kind of, yeah. This is probably the thing that we still need the biggest setup for. But you know, you'll get it. When you're starting out, it's not too much of a bad time loss, because it's really only like 20 seconds tops to lose from it. But when you're like really trying to push for the best times that you can, it is one of the most frustrating tricks. I messed it up. It's this leaf as well that you want to jump from, make sure of that. Alright. Jump 1, 2. You want to try and get these first 2 notes in flying, and you use the wool to sort of keep yourself in flying. It's not too important, but it does save time. The two presses at the start, jump and then 1, 2, those 2 need to be spread apart pretty far, because you want to get a lot of height. If you do them too quickly, then you'll undershoot the jiggy with the height. I've been struggling a lot with this room lately, but I'm just going to try it. So you hold forward, R and B, jump and then press 1 press to fly. Then you go 1, 2 sort of, and then you go 1, 2. 2. Yeah, almost got it. I want the jiggy as well. So, yeah, I've been having a lot of trouble with this room lately. Just gonna come back into it fresh. With this clip into Gobi as well, like basically anywhere, you can even get it here, wow. Basically anywhere from here, you can walk all the way under here. Yeah, anywhere past here you can enter Gobi's from. Anyway. You want to zoom in camera in when you get here so that it doesn't flip us off. Alright, let's try this again. That might have got it. I don't know. One weird thing as well about this room is you'll notice there was like a shadow of the Jinjo carpet under here, but now the shadow is not there. For some reason that happens the second time you enter the room. Like, I don't know why. And you don't have to even grab anything in the room, you could like go out and enter. Of course you don't enter the room the second time in the run, but it's just like really weird that the shadow's not there anymore. Even if you don't touch anything in the room. I'm going to zoom your camera out here. Camera zoomed out is usually good for everything. You fall off and then do 2 really quick taps, and I messed that up. Let's try it again. You fall off and you do 2 really quick taps, as quick as you can. Then you should land on that note. Get the rest. Jump and then 1 tap really quickly. And there. When we get here, I'm going to jump, do 5 extremely quick taps and then 2 slow ones. 6, 7, and then you let go of B and you hopefully get that note, which I didn't get then. So, jump 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Grab the note. I'm not using X very much at all there. You should really look closely for how I was using X if you can see it. I'll do that 1 more time. Yep, so that would grab the note there. And then you fall down here, get that, jump 1 tap, point your nose down a little bit and sort of wiggle around. Try and get that without landing. This note without landing is actually like really hard. Well, not really hard, but it's just like, oh, it's counterintuitive. So, turn around eventually, and then you will try and get that. You have to do a little bit of mixture of like nose pointing down and not holding B to get your high right that note. You can still be flying when you get this note, and then come flying around and still being flying when you get that note. It's really hard. So what would basically happen is, like, you would have just got that, then you'd come around, you'd always grab that note and flying, and then you could do that. And then you could even, after you get this, you could even do like another tap. But usually I land here, and then I do jump, tap, and then fall down here. And I get this note, fall off, and then tap to grab that note, and get the one at the top here. Get this one. Oh, I wasn't supposed to fall off there. I was supposed to go straight from here. Down to that one. And this is where you can give your hand a bit of a break from the claw grip position, if you're using that position. Oh, crap. Because you can get sore hands from it after a while. But then you need to go back into it here. Jump 1, 2. Get that note. Don't press X too much because you want to land there. You get that note. And then you jump and drop down and zoom the camera in. That takes 2 up presses. Another strategy is you could do this. So you could fly forward, turn around, get that note, fly up, get that note, and get that note, and probably fly down and get that note. Or you could be like getting that note and flying up, but then I guess you could probably land and get that note and then just do that. I used the first strategy that I showed you, but I really do want to eventually swap because this strategy is a really good one. Yeah, it's tricky though. Yeah, it would look something like this. Anywho, in the strategy that I use, it's just a little bit slower, but not that too much. So it's just jump on 2, get that note, land, walk down, walk across. And we start getting these. Technically, you should be jumping after you turn each of these little corners, because you are changing your movement angle. But sometimes it can mess you up, so sometimes it's better to walk. 72, you fly out. So it's 3 notes and a Mumbo token, then 3 notes. And we land down. 2 strategies here. You could jump and then flutter straight away, or you could walk into the water. I still haven't figured out which one's faster. I think it's this water one. So yeah, Gobi's is a lot harder than Bubble Glue was. It is doable. 77 minutes for Gobi's. Ah, I forgot to mention jiggies. 0 jiggies. No, what am I doing? I forgot to even give the note count and jiggy count for Clankers. Clankers was 100 notes. No, 6 jiggies. Bubble Globe's 83 notes, 0 jiggies. Gobi's is 77 notes and 1 jiggy. Yeah. Alright. My goal for Gobi's is a... Let's see. It's a 322.56. Alright, let's move on. When you get out of here, you want to jump in 1A breaths. Point your nose down a bit so you don't get caught here. Oh, and I should have pointed my nose down a lot earlier there, but I didn't. Anyway, that was kind of a bad room, but you get the idea of what you should do. Jump and then 1A press. Land here. For some reason, I think you need to be at a certain lowness to trigger the door, so I like to point my nose down a bit. Jump and then 2 A presses, and then you just sneak under here. 1 A press you can sometimes land in that tunnel. I'm looking at finding a better setup for that though. When you get here, jump. At about 9, and then I think you can do 1 more. No, I need a better setup. I've been meaning to get a good setup for this lately actually. I think it's like what you could do. Jump 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah. 7 quick ones and then 2 reasonably slow ones. I'm going to leave this room and come back in and we'll have a go at that. That's good enough. So I did 7, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That's what I did. You want to get here and then sort of jump forward so that you pass. See how there's like this little square? It is a whole square. It just, the other sides don't render when you're in there. So you want to jump in this little bit of square, and then as soon as you know that you're over, you want to pull back. So jump and then pull back, and you should get in. It's not easy, but it's doable. So jump, 1 tap, don't point your nose forward at all here until you get around here. Fall down. This ghost is a pain, but luckily he's nice today. Fall down there. You should land on the hedge optimally, but sometimes the ghost can get you. So don't press B for this whole thing here, just like fall down there. Jump 2 taps. Up here. Cool. Now to get the jiggy, we're going to do jump and then 6 taps, but not too fast. And then let go of B. X. It's important that you let go of X, otherwise you will get past the jiggy horizontally before you're high enough to grab the jiggy. So if you try and do a setup that holds X the whole time, you're going to get a lot more height than you actually need. Oh, I missed there. So you would try and get as many of these notes as you can in flying. And you want to land somewhere towards the end. You want to drop off a bit and then fly. Don't drop off too much because the enemies could be right under there and get you. If you can, you land on the little silvery thing on top of Mumbo's, but if not, you just land on his head, walk in. Now we're done with the beat. You want to wake Mumbo up, but then D-trans. One thing, I actually really forgot to mention this. There's a certain way that you can know when you can transform. Actually, now that I think about it, you don't need it in this category. One thing for just general knowledge though, is when Mumbo wakes up, he'll kick his feet and like, if you try and transform before that, you just bear punch on the platform, if you Banjo. But when he kicks his feet, it's exactly when he can transform, so I'll say now when he does it. Now. Like when he kicks his feet up. So that's how to know when you can transform. I don't think you need it in this category though. Okay, so the bee, when you come into this, you want to be with the bee, wake Mumbo up, go and get this note while he's waking up, come back, de-transform into Banjo, get into Talon Shot, grab this note, and then leave. That's what you do in this room. You're going to walk out a bit, jump in his eye, walk out of here, jump up there. If you're not comfortable with this, you can jump from his eye straight to this hedge. That does take an extra damage. I'm thinking about putting it in, but I'm not sure. So when I'm up here, I can jump over the hedge and go to Tumbler. Poop and egg. Try and get a Talon Shot into loading zone. I missed it there. 2, 3. How you going? Tilt the camera left here to get these notes. Press R here to get it behind you. Gold feather in there, and try and get into that loading zone with the gold feather. Gold feather here. I think it might be faster to shoot it with an egg, but I'm not sure. Use the roll to get a little bit of distance, and you high jump as early as you can out of that roll. Don't be too dangerous with your jumping around here, because the ghost can be like anywhere, and it's pretty likely that if you're jumping, you can hit it. If you're not jumping, you're pretty safe. 1, 2, 3, oh. No, I think it's actually what I usually do, because I've changed this strat recently. I do 1, 2, and then 3. Yeah. Anyway. You got this. That up here is really brutal, so you want to hold this wall just to get away from it, or more chance to get away from it. Again, thing with like, if you come in here in Talon Shot, you've got the turning circle thing, so you gotta wait for a bit and then hold forward. You run under these guys, and then careful of the flame here, you need to, and then you get that. You need to jut out from the wall a bit to avoid the flame here. If you go straight, you'll hit the flame, so you jut out a bit and then go under it. Get that. And because when you get this note, you're usually in the sliding animation after. So it can be. I wonder if you can click it. Yeah. If you're in the sliding animation, you can be. It won't read you jump. But that was a frame perfect jump there. But yeah, so you want to sort of don't jump until you're done with the slide, and ideally you want to avoid the slide. Once you're out of here, go right. Get this note. Get the feather. Why not? One more for the grungy fight. We're not going to get Nappa Jiggy. It's very fast, but not fast enough. Press R when you jump onto that first chair and get the camera behind you. Get these 3. I think Napajigi is actually worth it in the route. You'd have to do a pretty big reroute, but I think it's worth it if you can get the skip, but the skip was too inconsistent for me to put into the route. But yeah, Nappa has a lot of text on Xbox, so it's a lot slower than Nappa is on N64. Jump over here and take the damage. Oh, no. That was bad. I was supposed to jump all the way over here. Okay, and then you want to jump to these notes. Now, we've got a few options here, depending on how much damage you're on. You can jump straight across from here, across all this gooey liquid, to the other notes. You'll take a damage, but it's the same speed as doing this. So that's a strategy that you want to do if you got a lot of health, because it's the same speed, and you lose a health, which is good because we're about to death walk. Another strategy that you can do to lose another health is go from here and jump straight across there and use that to get in the well. If you don't want to take the damage, then you jump here, down here, use the shock spring there. You can ground pound if you want. I think it is faster. Up, and you want to start pointing down. Now this well is very tense, so left here. Now that is what I was scared of. Luckily I didn't die there. Oh crap, I did die. This well is very scary, so if you want to come in on a lot of health, it's honestly not a bad idea. So what you do in the well, get the jiggy first. Unfortunately we can't do the wells 3, otherwise it would be really quick. They actually patched, because you could clip out the top of the well in version 1.0, but they patched in 1.1 on Xbox. So I'll just point out with this, safe strat, and what I usually do is just do an A press there. Yeah, an A press. Around here. And usually with this one, you can swim around. Now, we would swim forward and death warp off of that. But just because I only have 1 life, I'm going to swim out this time. So yeah, you want to death warp in the well, and that will bring you right back to the start. And I'm just going to walk back to the start. That's done. Alright, now we're done in them. Let's check. We've got 810 notes and 25 jiggies. That's what we need for the 810 note door and door front. So, what do we get in MMM? $85 notes, 3 jiggies. And my gold is $443.11. Now that MMM is probably my least optimized level in this run, just because it's so late pretty much, and there's this new route that's come in recently, thanks to 7 Hornet, which saves a bunch of time, but like, it's really different, so I'm a bit out of practice. Anyway. Now I like to not get the camera behind me here, but sometimes it messes me up a little bit. Oh, like that. I need to figure out that better. I've been doing it recently, but not. Anyway, this is a strat here. So what we need to do is go into this puzzle. I should have tried to jump in the middle of it. Press A, you would get the bottles text here, but I got it earlier. Press A again. Bottles is going to tell you how to fill in the puzzles with the right trigger. remove the 2 pieces you just put in, and exit the puzzle. Now, why on earth would we do that? Well, the point is that we've learned how to fill in the puzzles with the right trigger now, so we can use the right trigger to fill in puzzles. But the next puzzle that we're going to do is Door of Grunty. And that's the last puzzle. It takes 25 pieces, but there's like 4 flaps here as well. Or a big flutter onto there. Oh. Little flutters. And I like to jump and actually like ground pound there. Okay, so the Door of Grunty puzzle has Grunty text after you open the 810 note door, which actually interrupts you doing the puzzle. So you can put so if you don't know how to fill in puzzles with the right trigger, then you can put pieces into the puzzle, but you can't fill them all in until you get the bottles text that tells you how to do it. And the bottles text doesn't come up until after the Grunty text is done, which takes like 20 or 30 seconds. So we instead learn how to do it on the Gobi's puzzle. And that way when we get to Door of Grunty, even though the Grunty text is happening, you can still press the right trigger to fill in the puzzle. So you don't have to wait for the Grunty text to complete. It's a really cool bit of the route. I like it. Okay, after you open this door, you want to try and talent trot into the loading zone. Okay. 2 jumps, and walk the rest. Go right here before the vertical one. Jumps. High jump up this leaf, if I can get it. Flutter cancel, roll. Try and get a flutter cancel, I'm really bad at it. And we want to get a talon trot into loading zone here. Now we have Furnace Fun, which is really terrible because we haven't talked to a single Brentilda, and the answers to the Grunty questions are randomized when you start a save file. So I don't know what the answers are going to be, so we're going to have to guess. Now, there's a program, Furnace Fun Calculator. You want to get version 2.0. What that does is it looks at what answers have already come up. So when you answer a Grunty question, you will tell the calculator like what answer you picked and whether it was right or wrong. And it takes that data and narrows down what the possible set of answers could be. And it'll tell you the most likely answer, basically. So you'll type in a question and it'll tell you you should pick this answer, and then when you pick it, you tell it if the answer is right or wrong, and it narrows down your pattern number even further. There's 256 possible sets of answers that you could get, and they're like random. When it's decided is when you enter the room with a Brentilda in it for the first time, and that happens in Sandcastle Percent when you enter the room, the FP lobby after beating Rusty Bucket Bay. And yeah, you basically can't manipulate it because it's not just based on the time when you enter the room, it's based on like your movement and dust particles and stuff. So we have to deal with this RNG, but we have the calculator to help. So we're in talent trot when we start. What I'm going to do is go to this tile, answer the question. You have to hold A and X to skip through this text the fastest. This is the only text in the game like that, so hold A and X, not just A. Alright, so we got our first Grunty question here. It would be fastest to go left because we need that joker, and then we need to come back here. But the reason that I do Grunty now is because we're on 5 health now, meaning we could get 4 questions wrong without dying. Then we could grab this health and the other one over there, and have another 2 shots at it without dying, and then a 3rd shot that we could die on. So, this is why I do it now, and also, if we answer this question now, we'll narrow down what our pattern could be. So, that if we do happen to get a Grunty question on that Joker tile, we have more of a chance of getting it right, because if you get it wrong on a Joker tile, you don't have another shot at it. You only get 1 shot at those Joker tiles, which means that Yeah, if we get a grunty question wrong on a Joker square, you basically have to go in here and die and try first time again. Because you need those Joker cards. But if you do the right optimally, you have 0 lives at this point, so yeah. You're screwed basically. That's why we do grunty now. Alright, we press it. I typed in dinner to the calculator, it's telling me slug stew, which is wrong, so I'm going to press F2. It's very important to learn the hotkeys on the calculator. So you type in search and it'll highlight the question, and then you press F1 if it was right and F2 if it was wrong. Typing in harm, and it's telling me Luigi filled tanky. That's wrong, so I'm going to press F2. I'm going to type in yet, a greasy warthog. That's wrong. I'm going to type in award, dirtiest undies. That's right, so I'm going to press F1, and now we can move on to the Joker guitar. 3 feathers on top. Also, if the answers that come out are like really short things, like numbers, that's really good. With these sound questions as well, based on the set of answers that she gives you to pick from the sound questions, you can actually tell what the answer is just based on that set of answers without listening. Like even for the ones that ask you what level the music is from. And there's a way to practice that I'll link in the description, if I remember. Yeah, it's a good way to practice that. So here I know that it's just the shaman's skull, based on that set of answers without listening to it. Oh, that's bad. Undead Ed is what it's telling me. And that's right. So if you get a grunty question on a death square, you could die by getting it wrong, and it wouldn't even be your fault. It's all down to RNG. It's telling me a dragon's foot, which is wrong. Now I've got 4 patterns left at this point. Grunty and the Cauldron Crude, it's telling me. That was wrong. Now I've got 2 patterns left. Sat on a broomstick. That's right. Cool. And I've got my pattern now. Alright, now this is Furnace Fun Skip. So we want to stand on like this top corner of the death square. I want to say as high as you can, but there is a thing that if you go too high, you don't get it. Like, it's really unlikely that you're going to go too high, but do be aware that that can happen. So I just basically try and go as high as I can, and if I got like some crazy high position, then I will perhaps go a tiny bit lower. But yeah, top right corner. You want to be right, but the main thing is the height. You want to be as high as you can, but not as high as you can. Yeah. Just don't go too low, because that's the thing that usually happens. Okay. B. Now, it's telling me the right answer is Warty Girls Weekly, so I'm going to choose Big Butts and Guts. I had this actually... I'm just going to see what happens if you run out of time. Yeah, okay. So you land on that, and basically just hold down as soon as you get there, because it's scary. You can walk around, so what's happened here is all the borders on the edge of bonus fun are gone. And I can fall off here now. I can fall into the lava if I walk off the edge. You can walk up here if you want to be safe, but the fastest way to do it is to jump across there. The jump will lose a bit of height, so be careful. Like, you don't quite get the... like, your moves are still restricted on the board, and you don't get... like, you only get this really low jump off of the board, but once you get off, you're able to flutter. It's really weird. Anyway, walk up here, get the talent truck here because you couldn't before. Jump up a stair and across a stair. And that's bonus fun. Lots of fun. There's an extra life here if you want it. I wouldn't bother too much because, I don't usually. I'm happy to go into Grunty on 0 lives because if I'm dying in Grunty, then I'm probably not going to PB anyway. Anyway, you want to kind of jump around this cauldron. It's a similar radius to Nappa. Hit the left side of this door so you don't trigger the cauldron. Now we're going to get that grunty text that I was talking about. So when you get to the puzzle, you can just press the right trigger straight away. Otherwise you'd have to wait. And like, look how long this text is. So otherwise I'd have to wait all of this time to do the puzzle and have that bubbles text that teaches me how to do the right trigger. Like, it's still going. Yeah, it's ridiculous. Head into Big Pot, we have enough of everything to do this fight. We did, because we start with a full stock of everything, it's pretty good. When this fight starts, you want to turn your camera around to face the pillar. Like that. Now we're going to do a very precise ground. Now. I did say now a little bit late there. Poop 9 eggs once you see a few words in the text box, like 3 words in the text box, and then I poop 9 eggs. We're going to ground pound recoil to not get hurt by this green spell. Wait a bit, and then shoot 3 eggs. You need 3 eggs to get her to move on. Ground pound recoil through this green spell again. Face forward off this fly pad, turn around, 1 flap and beat bomb, turn around again. Careful of the fireballs. That big bomb that I just did was the hardest one. Try and be predictive to where she's going to go. Like, don't wait for her to stop, just aim for where she's going to go when she's moving. Now, see that grate? I want to go to the right of that grate. And that's the first Ginger statue that's going to... that's the main Ginger statue, so... Now, there's this point on the ground. I want to go a little bit left to that point, here, and poop 6 eggs. Jump a bit forward as well. They're going to go in the statue, and we're going to get the cutscene skip. If you look, I was basically standing on the point when I pooped the 6 eggs. Move a bit to the right to manipulate the fireball. I missed that. Oh, the silly egg despawn. Run in circles. These fireballs are actually homing fireballs. So they're gonna follow where they think you're gonna be if you're traveling in a straight line. So I'll show you here. This is actually what I do for this section as well. Turn around once they fire. See how they're going where I was facing? You can run in a circle and you avoid the fireballs as well. On N64, I like to not look at Grunty during that section that I was just doing because of lag. It doesn't really matter on Xbox. 3 eggs here. 2 eggs, 2 eggs, 3 eggs, jump out of the way, 3 eggs, get hit, 2 eggs, 3 eggs, 2 eggs. I missed an egg on that one, but Usually the timing would stop on that left hand side one. And that's how to do sandcastles then. So I was stressed that a lot of these strats were like quite advanced, and I've gone into a lot of detail about the movement that you want to do. If you're just starting out with this category, then like I would suggest watch a run to know the route. Like I'll stress that like routes are not set in stone. These things are changing all the time. So usually when you make a tutorial, it becomes out of date in like a week or something. But yeah, so I would stress definitely watch whatever the current world record is for the route, and if you're really keen, a few other people if there are other people running, because different people use different routes. Usually I like to watch the record and run that is more recent and kind of near the top as well. So do that, and then use this tutorial for like tricks and bits and pieces. And then once you're like fairly happy with your time and you're looking to improve it, then yeah, do look at these fine movement details, because that's what'll really bring your time down. And yeah, it's a very fun category to run. It's got FPLE earlier. One thing that I'll mention is you could do 450 skip. So we got the blue Cauldron and we did that method, but it's about 20 seconds faster if you, after you finish Rusty Bucket Bay, do Mumbo's Mountain, and then do TTC and then FP, and then after FP, when you come out, you do the 450 skip. But first of all, that involves doing another one of those FPL clips, which is hard. Secondly, that puts the two FPL style clips like 15 minutes later into the run, which means that the big reset point is later. And third, and the reason why I don't run the 450 skip round, is that when you get the pipe jiggy in FP, if you already have a cheat activated on Xbox for some reason, and I think you have to have done the demo desync as well, I'm not 100% sure, but if you have done those things, then the game can actually crash when you get the pipe jiggy sometimes, and I don't know exactly how to avoid it. So all those things combined, mainly the random crashes, is why I do that 20 seconds slower route of not doing 450 skip and taking the blue Cauldron instead. So yeah, but I mean, if you can figure out what's causing those crashes, then you have a 20-second faster route to work with. And of course there's a few notes and stuff that will swap around, as they do, once you time more things and think of more clever ideas. But yeah, so yeah, it's a really fun category. I'd highly recommend it. It's a lot easier than it used to be on N64. No door grunty skip, you know, FPL is earlier in the run. You don't have to set up FFM every time you reset. Yeah. It's a good category. I like it. It's probably my favorite category. And we finally have sub hour. So I'll scroll back up through these notes, but I think, unless there's anything I've forgotten, then that'll be it for me. So those times next to it are my goals. You wouldn't expect to be getting times like that when you're first starting out, but they're good references. And they'll probably change a lot too. Yeah, and yeah, it's always nice. I like to leave the credits on the end of my runs as well, because it's a bit more complete. And yeah. But yeah, I won't for now. It's just a tutorial. So hopefully you have good luck running this category and you have lots of fun doing it. Thanks for watching.